my veins, I've been driving this train. Years in this lane, there's no stopping this flame. Cause I came to the game and I changed it to play how I like, rearranged it to my own domain. Yeah, I got what it takes, made lots of mistakes, taking shots, skipping breaks, feeling lost, feeling great, popping off, singing straight, never stopped, never changed. All the squad here to play, and I've got something to say, yeah. I work hard each and every day, I get lost in the words I say. I don't push pause, no I push play. I won't stop till I make a change. I withdraw on the things I make. I turn flaws into flawless traits. I build tall, never capping space. I won't stop till I hear him say,
welcome in, welcome in. How's everybody tonight?
Doing very well.
Oh, awesome.
I'm doing well, thank you.
Awesome, JR. Good to hear from you. And Ryan, what's going on with you? Are you still, if you're still listening to what the last few minutes, we get it. So it's no problem. Okay.
Yeah, I got 3 minutes left.
Oh, okay. Well, you go back on mute then. I understand. How's everybody out there in chat land? Let's see. Let's take a few of the viewers that are here. You got your notification on, Coach Mary. Good evening from Mona. Hey, Reza. Of course, the always beautiful and exquisite Monique King, moderator extraordinaire and member, always supporting the channels that you love. LMV is in the house. Looks like she's over there at JR's channel. Yay! Giving JR some love. Awesome. Mona Wilson. Yes. Happy to have you here. Welcome in. Yes. You guys are here. You know, this is going to be something else tonight. You know that? Mm-hmm. Something else. Roro, always our podcaster extraordinaire. Roro's in the house. How you doing tonight? Oh, and Kirby. Hey, Kirby. I'm going to get you back up here one time, Kirby. Kirby is a good speaker for those of you that don't know it, right? Kirby is an excellent speaker. But so briefly, guys, just real briefly, just touching on maybe a thing or two, and then we're going to get into it in more detail. What did you think about this week's episode? Don't all answer at the same time. JR, what were your thoughts? Did anything in particular stand out to you?
Oh, yeah, there were quite a few things that stood out to me. Obviously, we're going to get to Chris's exit and the blaze of glory that he went out in. But yeah, there was quite a few things that I saw on this episode definitely deserve talking about. So here to chop it up.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for being here to chop it up. What about you, Calvin? Was there anything that stood out to you on this week's episode?
Well, I kind of expected Sierra to get the axe, you know.
Get eliminated.
And also, considering Chris as well, kind of expected for him to be put to rest as well. Something interesting is that the women took offense to the notion of the combative black woman, as if that was something. I mean, Jessica was combative. She was kind of conflictual.
We're gonna save a lot of that for when we get to it, Calvin. But that's something that stood out to you, surely. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Them both taking offense to being characterized as Jessica being characterized as combative when she just standing their ground.
Okay, we're gonna definitely get to it. So we got some old heads like myself and Calvin. And we got the younger heads in here, so we definitely gonna have some generational and maybe even some gender differences, perhaps, maybe not. I don't know. In the audience, same thing. Got men and women that come in every week and enjoy the chat. So I think it's definitely something that we're gonna have to explore. There were some other things. I took some notes here. I took a lot of notes. There was some gift giving going on in this episode. We see some people trying to build further bonds with each other. And, we got to ask the question, did Quentin take the bait from Janelle, while they were fishing later on in the episode? So there's a lot of things for us to really get into here, guys. So
yes,
I guess with that being said, we'll just go ahead and I'll just go over here to the notes. So we see this episode opens. They're still at the getaway retreat, and Sierra and Jessica are on the chopping block. We find out that comical Sierra, that's with an S, has gotten eliminated, and she is told that she is not ready to love. Do you guys think that they made the right decision? We'll start there.
For me, absolutely. I mean, she didn't have any connections really, and she wasn't really interested in any of the guys romantically. So that's the logical choice, in my opinion. But I can see why it would have been close between her and Jessica. But ultimately, Jessica still had, she's still entertaining Morier, Super Morier, and she's I think that's the only connection she really had left. She already said that her and Chris were a done deal. They're finished, and there's no interest there on her behalf. So, yeah, Sierra going home with that choice for me.
All right. No, that's JRXTV. Check his channel out here on the YouTube streets. Yes. Calvin, what were your thoughts?
Sierra, like you said, she was a fly girl, just having a good time, enjoying herself, and not really focused on commitments. She just wanted to be this show and this stuff. But she realized that she didn't have any connections, and she didn't put a lot of effort and really establishing herself. I don't think. I think she was just there just to be a part of the experience. But I realized that she could be somebody. But who is she? Do she know who she is? Surprised being a commitment.
Yeah. Like it seemed like she was just having a good time. Said, "Okay, I'm gonna be on TV now. Let's see what outfits I can pull out of my hat, and maybe get myself out there and get me some influence and some. What is it? They always call it JR. Is it clout? The folks are calling it the clout chasing of all. Yeah. So that's a whole thing right there. They didn't have all the social media when I was growing up, so I never really thought of all the clout that I could have been chasing.
And maybe it was good they didn't, huh?
I think so. I don't think I really would have fallen into it though, to be honest, Calvin. Just like even now, I don't get so invested in the fake clout out there. But that's a story for another day. So then I guess I come to in my notes, why do you think Marie stated that a lot of the guys felt that Jessica was combative?
Well, nobody took ownership of it, first of all, and she felt that people were being, if it's out there, then somebody should take ownership of it. And they all kind of shied away from saying that I'm the one that said or I co-signed it,
Right.
I think she's more assertive than aggressive, so maybe that took me back because they wanted to be kind of docile. I don't know, especially Chris. It seemed like he wanted a woman to be more docile than being assertive or being to him. And when they speak up, he may be insecure about it.
Ron, seems like you were getting ready to say something.
Yeah, she is combative.
And you don't gotta be. You feel that she's combative. Now, what thing can you point to specifically where she's been combative? Because she doesn't agree with him, that makes her combative.
No, everything about it was been combative. You don't gotta be loud and it's in different. It's different ways to do this. Just some of those little buzzwords that you throw at black men sometimes. It's very combative. It's he's aggressive. He does. Those little words. The women know they're doing it on purpose. Or they play victim on certain words on purpose. Like she knows what she's doing. It's very combative. Real men can see through it, and you don't have to be a loud, typical combative type of personality to get that out. When they're doing those subtle things, we pick up on that. Real men pick up on that stuff all the time. We know what you're doing. We know you know what you're doing, and it's to set a narrative that is not true, and you throw it out there. And she's playing that role right now. The whole thing she was doing that.
Many instances where she was combative, for sure.
Okay, so you guys are saying combative, but is there another word? Are you saying because she's not agreeing with him that makes her combative? Because I don't know. I'm just trying to understand how we jump from calm to combative. Like that's from 0 to 100. Like how is there something in between that?
Is it assertiveness more so? It's,
No, you don't have to be aggressive to be aggressive. The most aggressive people literally can do it in 2 words.
Passively.
You know what I mean? They ever say that a real boss or a real aggressive boss and stuff like that can control the whole room in 3. You know what I mean? And it comes off a certain way to certain people. She's doing it in the most subtle way she know how, but she knows what she's doing. It's very aggressive. It's very combative.
I would say
yeah,
even if you look at instances in this episode, there were times where she was. I'll remember the interaction she had with E in the ladies' lounge. That was combative.
Mhm. But would you
and
say that Janelle and
What?
I'm sorry, I mean to interrupt you.
No. But Jay, I was going to ask you. I'm sorry because I didn't hear you. You said something about Jessica in the ladies' lounge. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was saying even in the ladies' lounge when Lee was saying how Chris bought her a gift.
Mhm.
Yeah, Jessica and her had a little interaction, and that was combative.
It was very combative because here's a prime example. I watched that part with a woman, and she said I would have pushed her off the couch right there. Like, you mean, so that's a woman, a strong black woman who said, "Yo, she's very combative. She's been combative right there." She called it out. I didn't even have to see that part 100% through.
Mm-hmm.
But it seemed like Janelle and Jessica saw similar traits, but they both took offense to the notion of being combative black women. So it seemed like they both had a variation of the same thing, you know, how they present themselves as being assertive, expressive, comfortable with themselves, and not intimidated by a man. Is that being combative, or is that just being who they are, considering that gender roles are more blurred than what they were before in the past?
Calvin, I'm more in alignment with what you're saying right here and right now, because if we can say that she's assertive, we can say that she is opinionated. But for the people that are saying that she is combative, I have to strongly disagree. And I'm not one that just goes around flinging words on people. Like Ron pointed out, is a man aggressive? Is a black man combative? Am I going to say that? If he was acting and behaving the way we've seen her thus far, I'm just going by what we've been shown, right? She is not combative. If we want to give anyone the label of combative amongst the women, I would be looking at Janelle.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I would be looking at Janelle, but I would not be looking at Jessica. And you cannot lump people together because the two of them are close friends. We can't just rub off on Janelle onto Jessica. That's what I would say.
Playing the same game, but the difference between Janelle is at least we see a softer side of Janelle with Quentin. We don't see that with nobody with Jessica.
She doesn't have a soft side.
That's true.
That's why she can't even bring herself to have a soft side, even with the connections that she has. So it's not a question of whether Janelle is combative and Jessica's just standing there not doing anything.
Yeah,
they co-sign each other. That's why they have the alliance. That's why they are identified as mean girls, etc.
If you look at the scene, even with Morier, who's supposed to be her number one connection, he came really submissive when he came in there to apologize and stuff like that, and she was just not taking it. Look at him like he was a. You know what I mean? It was bad, and that's your connection. And we all saw that scene. So it ain't, you know what I mean? She not even with her own connection. Like, you know what I mean? Just at least Janelle wouldn't do that with Quentin. Like, she knows not to do that. She was like, oh, it's over. I can't. I know he came and apologized and did all this and that, but I'm still mad. Come on, over that little part. And you expect this guy to spend a lifetime with you and go through this? Come on.
Exactly. And
well,
she did.
We're gonna go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and she did like. Thank DD for reminding me, but she did actually say that she's had interactions with Chris where she feels that he would have been right to say that because the interactions that they had, whether they were off camera or in private or whatever, she knew that connection was finished because they kept butting heads. So
They've said that
You
to
know,
each
she
other.
admitted that if anyone does have an experience with her that displayed that combative side, it's Chris. She said she hasn't had that interaction, that experience with any of the other guys, just Chris. So that's how she knew who said combative in the ladies' lounge.
She wasn't going to
So
have that experience with the other guys. The only other guy she was dating was Marie. The other guys don't care at all.
Exactly.
They don't care. They probably never talked to her on the phone.
And that's why they said they never had that experience with her, because
Yeah,
they've
they
never
don't care.
had
They got their own connections.
the connection.
If you got your own connections, the last thing you're gonna be thinking about is calling Jessica for something. You know what I mean? You're gonna concentrate on what you got.
I don't know. We got a very interesting comment, guys, on the screen. Stay tuned reviews. One of our fellow YouTubers says that Chris was labeled a narcissist, among other things. Wes at Stay Tuned Reviews. I don't see that. We haven't seen that. Did I miss it? JR, Ron, Calvin, did you guys hear that Chris was being labeled a narcissist? Did we actually hear that on the show? Not talking about IG Live. I don't think I've even heard that on IG Live.
No, I don't recall any of the ladies calling him a narcissist. In fact, he had the most connections out of all of the guys. So, you know, he had at least 3 possible connections. Whether they were all going to be romantic, that's a different thing. But in terms of having, you know, ladies that are interested in wanting to get to know him and him get to know them a bit further, he had the most. Aries, Lee, and I forget the other one. Aries, Lee, and Kat. You know, so that's one of the reasons why I think he shot himself in the foot by reacting the way he did, because he had so much to lose. He had 3 connections that you know, owe me nothing. There's a lot of people struggling to get more than one.
Yeah,
It's deeper than that. Like this is a very hard episode for me to watch. I'm not gonna lie, because I felt like I was watching
You and me both.
no, but personally, I feel like this was Ready to Love production and stuff like that. They don't make up new stuff. There's been recreations of stuff. They're more of a blanket field thing. I felt like I was watching literally my last episode over again. And I felt like it was the same tactics, the same stuff, and I was feeling every single emotion Chris was going for and why it was happening, and the reason. It's some deeper reasons that I'll get to in the end that has nothing to do with anything you've seen on the screen and nothing to really do actually with the ladies. But it's a problem with some of the antics of this show, and let's just say guys like me and Chris, they generally do not like. And like I said, it'll make more sense when I break it down to the detail at the end. But make sure, Aubrey, at the end that you just get the full intake of what I'm about to say, because it's a lot of stuff that necessarily you didn't see on the show, but it will make sense when I blend it all together. But it was literally deja vu.
But it's Ready to Love, it should be more congruent with that instead of being narrowing it down just a few people. I mean, narrow it down to this group, and they're seeing more conflictual than what they should be. They should be more confident with themselves, because I thought this is the 10th episode, so they should be more confident with their roles and their position instead of still jockeying for position. You know, something missing.
Right. And also, I would say the whole lineup that they did when they lined all the guys up to interrogate them about who said what in a men's lounge. Yeah. Again, you're looking for confrontation. They wanted to single out the person, and then it would have been a 2-on-1 pretty much.
You mean at the retreat? I think they were still
at the retreat.
Yeah, not in the. Okay. Well, okay. Go ahead, Ryan. Then we're gonna move forward. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I'll cover it when you get to it.
Yeah, we'll get to it in a minute.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we hear Sierra. After she's being eliminated. Sierra within us says, she's very, laid back about the whole thing. And of course, those of us who are following RTL in real time, over on IG, over on Twitter, we kind of have already heard that at this point, Sierra was basically done with the show, had asked to been released, had asked to leave, and they wouldn't allow her to until it could fall into a narrative. And so this is how they released her. So she says everything happens for a reason. and we note that she takes her elimination well.
Mm-hmm.
My note here is that it tells me a lot about a person who can bow out gracefully
Yes.
and one who cannot.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
You know, so we see Uncle Nephew Tommy gives the power over to the ladies to
Mm-hmm.
eliminate. The ladies are going to do the next elimination, and I don't know if anybody else caught this, but as I'm watching this over the second, third time, I see that Chris all of a sudden goes from like confident to his expression on his face and his body language is like he's really nervous now.
He feels insecure.
But why? But why does he feel insecure? Because the plot that he had to get rid of Jessica didn't work out for him. So is that some type of manipulation?
Well, it's okay when until the rabbit get the gun, though.
That's what I'm trying to. Woo! High five, fist bump. Because I'm trying to tell you, it's all good. It's all good in the neighborhood as long as he's got control.
That's
but
right.
When it flops back over, now it's an issue. What's the problem, Chris? What's the problem? You got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 connections. What's the problem, Chris?
But you're a person of was he African? I think was he?
Nigerian. Yes.
So then, therefore, you feel that you're the king of the jungle, and all of a sudden, American woman got the ups on you and call shots, and she's not intimidated by you. You're more intimidated by her.
You know what, Calvin? I think you've hit on something that has been bugging me. I've been watching this. I've been praying. I've been walking it out, talking to my girl, Kia Simone. Kia Simone, where are you? Show yourself in the chat. And I couldn't quite put my finger on it, but I've said it many weeks ago, is that this is a man who needs to stay within his own culture community. And I'm not saying that to be...
That's not...
culturally disingenuous. No, yeah. No, he does. Because if you feel this strongly about women asking you a question, if you feel this strongly about women disagreeing with you, then these are not the type of women for you, meaning American women. They're not for you.
He's got 3 connections.
And exactly. And I don't think it's disagreeing with him. That's the problem. It's disrespecting him that he has a problem with. That's what he said.
He only has a problem with Jessica.
We've never seen Jessica disrespect. When have we seen Jessica? Would you guys please give me examples of when Jessica has disrespected him on air? Because I can't find any.
Well, like I said, when Chris was actually delivering his speech or whatever he was doing, he said, "You're not going to you're not going to disrespect me while I'm respecting you as a woman. You need to respect me as a man." That's what he was saying, right? So he's obviously felt like she's disrespected him, and it probably wasn't shown, but that was his words that he used. So yeah, like he felt like he was disrespected at some point, and that's why he said that. But at the end of the day, we're looking at a situation where it seems like the problem is the behavior is being called out. It's being called something. It's being called combative. The moment you put a name on it, then it heightens the level of reactivity. Like if there was no name put on it, then I don't think there would be much of a problem. They'll still have the same attitude and be ready to confront whoever, whenever something goes down.
But when he had a chance to clarify it or put in perspective, he didn't assert himself. He took as you say, he took the coward's way out. He didn't stand his ground to quantify his position.
Chris's biggest problem is he's late to the party right now. We in the last episodes, and he's really just getting around to kind of talk to his connections. He's really just getting around to Lee. The cat thing is new. Aries kind of already chose Phil, and you can tell he's cool with Phil. He ain't gonna step on Phil's toes. So he did get nervous coming into this dating part thing here. You can finally see Chris start to act like quitting. It's like it's game time. Like he's zeroed in more on the game now and staying away, instead of just being genuine with his connections. He's going up to him one-on-one. He's saying kind of the same things to each woman. Is no full connection on where it's supposed to be at this point. And the other 2 guys have that. Quentin and Janelle have that connection already. They don't have to play the game like that. Same with Phil and Aries. And you see Chris running around trying to make it happen. And it's the first time we've seen that with him. It's more before it's been him this cool collective going with the process is going. Now he's kind of like he was running like a chicken with his head cut off, trying to, hey, I'm here. I got, you know what I mean? And it's too late at this point to do that. You're supposed to do that episode 3, not here.
But Ryan, whose fault is that? Whose fault is it that Chris is now running around with a chicken with his head cut off? Whose fault?
Chris' fault. That's why I'm like I said, I'm not taking Chris's side through this whole conversation episode. He made some wrong moves and should be accountable for it. So the fact I told you he's late to the party on some of this. And here's how what he doesn't understand, and which I had to find out the hard way too.
Okay.
And when you're late to the party, it's not even the fact that you don't have the connections. I believe these women really want to get to know Chris and really like Chris. I believe Chris has a stronger connection with his connections than Aries and Phil and Quentin and Janelle. It's just it can't be shown because production has to make a TV show. And they told me this with their own mouth. And they said, man, I don't care if Lee likes you and Lee got a good connection. You got to her too late. We don't have the footage to make this thing look like a love connection in real life when you guys been talking behind the scenes, stuff like that. It was the same way with me and Amber. When I went to my elimination, me and Alexis been done. That was all fluff that she was saying kind of in the, I'm trying to make a decision. Decision on what? We was like Jessica and Chris. We're done. We've had World War III on the phone 2 nights before. I was moving on to my next connection. So I was like, okay, man, I like Amber now. I had to take her to kiss. I had to go take her on a date myself because I said, production, put me on a date with her. She was been my third connection all the way through. We've been talking all the way through. We've been going on our own dates. Why don't you guys put me on a date? They said, we understand that y'all got a connection, but we don't have the material to show it right now. So there's nothing we can do about it, Ron. If I can't show it on TV, it doesn't exist. And the same thing with him and Lee, they're too late.
So it's not really love, it's more production issues.
Well, they still got to it's still love, but they still got to make a TV show. You know what I mean? Like I don't have the footage to make you guys look like you're handsome and great, like you guys are in love connection right now because you're too late to the party. You should have been on day 1 with Lee talking about let's go on some dates and this and that. You can't come in on this show in the 4th quarter if it took you that long to get your connection and say, okay, now I want to get on a couple of dates. We don't got any more dates to give you. It's 2 days. It's a week left. What we gonna do?
Right. He was not building, and this is the thing, Ron. You got, like you said, you got to give some acknowledgement to the fact that we can go back probably to about the 3rd week because it was right after I forget which episode or which week that was, where Jessica was taking Chris around. They were at that hoedown. Remember, they were at the Black Hoedown, Black Cowboy show, and she was taking him around to the ladies and introducing him. And he was going along with it. They looked like they were fine. And then I think it's the next episode that all of a sudden, like, she should speak to me softer. I need her to speak to me this way. I need her to be submissive. I need her to be in servitude. I need her to be like my Nigerian queen. Like, I'm saying, well, maybe you just need a Nigerian woman, Chris.
But he had an arranged relationship that didn't work. So
he had that arranged. Family probably paid the dowry and everything, and he still didn't go. He got a whole baby out here. He didn't marry her either. So when are you really ready for love, Chris? I don't know.
Well,
I don't know.
The thing is,
how intentional he is. But what I do know is I tell you this, and I'll be perfectly honest with you. I'm in a group with all the ladies from Dallas and stuff like that because we're planning this big trip to Jamaica with all the cast, and they all speak very highly of Chris. The ones that are in there, I'd be like that, so they like him. So it ain't a situation of he's Nigerian, he's overbearing and stuff like that. I don't think that was a situation. Hearing from what the ladies are, they all still want them a little piece of Chris, and I ain't seen anybody else talk about they want. You know what I mean? Yeah. So he's still that guy.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
It's because Jessica don't see it. That's just one person. But I haven't heard it from anybody else. If you haven't heard it from anybody else, Janelle was supposed to go with Jessica's side. That's they're yin and yang. But
let JR get in here, jump in here for a second. Okay.
Yeah. When you go back and you look at Chris and Jessica early, they had a little spark or a little interest in each other, but obviously the turning point was the whole I need to see the softer side of you type thing. And she was like, no, I'm not going to do that. So that's the end. That's when it really finished between them. And then anything else is just going to build frustration and hostility between them, because he was done. That's why he did move on to other connections. And then this is a perfect example of why it's not always good to get what you want, because what we saw play out could potentially happen in any relationship between the two of them if they did choose each other. Like, it would be hostile, it would be volatile, it would be back and forth, it would be shade, it would be all types of stuff going on. So it's a good thing that they didn't make it. And, you know, they realized early on that they weren't a connection for each other.
Mona brings up a very good point. And this goes for both the men's lounge and the ladies' lounge. Whatever happened to what happens in the den stays in the den. That actually, if I were to advise anybody in a new cast, like the next season 9, just know that what you say in the ladies' lounge and in the gentlemen's lounge is not safe. Okay,
they know that. They know that. They know that. Everybody talks. We got everybody's number. Information might last in the ladies' and men's lounge 15 minutes, and that's only if you tell them people in the lounge, don't tell anybody, and you still only got 15 minutes before you go out. There's production assistants everywhere. There's people on the phone. It's supposed to get out. If information don't get out, you don't got no show. So it's made to get out. I don't care what time you say on it. Oh, everything's staying on. Come on now. That's just to try to make somebody look bad later on if you need to. But it gets out. It's supposed to get out. There's no written rule on what everything's supposed to say. Matter of fact, I would look at you strangely if you had a strong connection and you were the woman and there are women going bad on him in the ladies' lounge and that's your boo, and you don't go tell him about it to warn him or anything else like that. You ain't a good partner.
Good point.
And I will say Morier has a lot of accountability to take as well, because it was only one person that gave the feedback. And even if you took it as him calling Jessica combative, it wasn't the rest of the guys. They said they never had that experience with her. So for Morier to go and do that, that was a very low down, dirty move, because you literally dry snitched on someone. And you know, all the other guys didn't say that. That wasn't their experience. Morier only chose to go with what Chris said. So that, I thought that was a bit fishy and a bit foul of Morier to do that. Then when the smoke starts coming, he gets up and runs off to the kitchen to go and sweat over some chicken.
Well, he's going to get something healthy to eat. You know he likes to eat healthy.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Morier was afraid to call out Chris, because I feel he felt Chris get in that ass.
Yeah. But the thing is, Morier calling out Chris for what? Because of his connection with Jessica? What connection? Morier still walking around with crystals in his pocket. He's still into tarot cards. So that didn't align with Jessica's belief system before. Why? Like, there's no connection there. So, you know, I don't know what type of alliance they have, but there's no connection between Jessica and Morier.
No, it's not that.
We don't see that.
Exactly.
She said it. I mean, we saw her when she said it. When she said, "I'm done." Like, she said it.
Even this episode, she said she doesn't even.
Said it this episode.
She said she don't even trust him.
Yeah.
So, I think Kelvin wants to jump in, guys.
I was saying he got rid of some of the competition, you know. But it seems like the closer they're getting to the end, it's kind of fragile right now. It seems like it's falling apart, because even though it's supposed to be ready to love, is not. Who is ready to love who? Who's looking out for number one? You know, what's the best thing? Are you looking for something sustainable, or is this just for show?
Wow. Whew. Janelle says that she was blindsided by the men's feedback, and the word combative sounds very familiar. That she's heard it from someone before. So she says that right after the elimination, because mentally I'm still back at the elimination. Now we move inside the mansion, and Janelle says that we need to be checking on Jessica, to which Chris responds, but we can check on both. Morier finally asked Jess how she feels. She said that it's best for her, seeing it how she's so combative. It's best for her to simply be quiet. I thought it was interesting that in this scene, right after that, Chris has the audacity to jump in and say that there was not a consensus as to the use of that word. So I feel like, I don't know if you guys see it, but in this moment where he's saying there wasn't a consensus, but yet he doesn't admit that he may have said that to Marie that she is combative. Why doesn't he just simply take that opportunity to say what he said? Why not just own up to it?
Because it was said in the men's lounge, so he doesn't have to.
No, they
Well,
that's not.
he doesn't have to, but okay, so you're saying that he shouldn't say it. Why? Because he might lose some cool points? I'm not following.
No, I mean, when they go to the ladies' lounge, when they go to the men's lounge, Tommy has previously said this is what happens in the lounge stays in the lounge, right? So for them to now be in a lineup where they're being interrogated on who said what, you know, that's definitely going to violate the code of conduct with regards to how these lounges take place.
That's not what they're thinking. This is how the reality of the situation is. It's a fear thing. You have Marie afraid of Chris. That's why he walks away. He's not gonna out Chris in there and be that guy and break bro code and do all that type of stuff. And this Chris throws ninja stars for a hobby, so he ain't about to do that. You got Chris, who's afraid of Jessica because the women had a power this week. So he's not gonna say anything to start this whole corral because he's fighting for his life on these last couple. You know, you see that's why he's moving through the dates real quick and trying to get into all his connections and breaking on the charm and stuff like that because he gets. Which is weird. I mean, he just don't want to go home, which is weird at this point. I would think anybody does not care if they go home or not because everybody's tired at around this point, usually, especially if you got this banging career and all this work that you need to get to. Literally, I was going off 3 hours of sleep a day. So I know if he's really working as hard as he say he is, I know he had to be doing the same. I was like, yo, please, you know what I mean? Send me home. You know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? It should have been that attitude, but he was still fighting. You know what I mean? So I think he was afraid that he was a, I can't use the word punk moment, but yeah, like he was.
It's not name call. It's not name call. Okay.
No, I didn't say him. I said punk moment because, because you were afraid of women having a power and elimination thing, and you did not. He was right. He did not stand up for what he really felt, and he should have done it right. He should have done it right then, and just live with the consequences of it. But. Because I'm not gonna sit up there and have all the men twirling their thumbs and stuff and looking at each other.
That's the part I don't get. That's the part I don't get. I mean, I don't understand Marie. Like, I guess it's a guy thing that you guys, just like it could be a woman thing for the women. But I don't understand Marie. Like, he's afraid of Chris. Why? Like, really? Why? Or is it just that men really want to cover each other so much that they don't care about getting to the truth of the matter? I'm not really.
You're not gonna want to break if you're a guy like Marie who seems like a cool dude, a brother's type of brother. You're not gonna want to break bro code for any of your boys. At this point, y'all boy, you know what I mean, not boys, but everybody close and stuff. With the men's energy is different than the women's energy on this show. Like we all cool. We all cool. Every season, we do not have any guys that have any rifts between each other that from the show. You know what I mean? It's just one of those type of things. So you're not gonna want to. You're not gonna throw him under the bus and be that guy to be like, well, Chris said it. Now you look like the. Yeah.
But why doesn't Chris say it himself? I don't think anybody. You're right. I don't think anybody should quote unquote, and I hate this term by the way, but snitch on anyone else. But I feel like at this big old age of 40, why can't you just say I said what I said? Stand
out of fear.
He would have fed right into the trap.
I'm sorry.
He would have fell right into the trap.
He was getting set up, but yeah, it was a setup. Like this whole scene was created to try to get rid of Chris. You know what I mean? Everybody's on the same page here. So he's seeing the kind of setups, but he don't know how to maneuver through them. Like I'll tell you, the greatest castmate of all time, Blake will move through this different. Blake would have escaped this. They threw this trap at Blake 4 different times in a row, and he got out of it every single time.
Right. You got to be playing chess and not checkers, and you can't let your emotions rule you. When you let your emotions rule you, you lose every single time. Every single time.
He should have stood his ground, like Sierra, and bowed gracefully. You saw your head was on the chopping block. Just concede to defeat and be a man. You was characterized as a coward because you put that out there, but you didn't back it up. All you had to say that if you're gonna say that she's combative, quantify it and keep it moving.
And what he said,
Mm.
but the audience and the people who watch this do not understand one simple thing. And this is when I was on the show, I didn't understand it either. Of they
Okay.
don't like each other. I don't like her. You know what I mean? Like it was even me and Alexis. We didn't like each other at that point. We don't like we never saw each other again in life. We would have both been okay. He feels that way about this. It's okay to feel that
Okay.
way.
I gotta interrupt. As someone who saw your season. Okay, when did you know that you didn't like Alexis? Because what I thought I saw as a viewer was that you did like Alexis and she did like you, but was it stuff that happened off camera? Like for example,
It was
you threw
100%
a
stuff that
party.
happened off camera. It was
Wait a minute.
100%.
Let me say this specific thing. You threw a party, right? Correct?
Yeah.
Okay, which that's a whole nother story. You got to watch our interview with Ryan. Check that out. That's right here in the archives. Check it out. He talks about this whole thing. But long story short, you held a party. Alexis was about to leave or something to that nature, but she wanted to talk to AJ, right? Your castmate, right?
Yes.
You set her in a room and told her that you would have AJ come in and talk to her. And what happened? What happened?
I set a room that said for AJ to come and talk to her, and I went in with the other guests, and me and the other guests, we're drinking, we're what I mean, stuff like that. It's 2.5 hours go past.
Two
I
and
go
a
back
half
thinking
hours. She waited for one man to come in and talk to her.
yeah, I'm thinking she left. I was like, yeah, she left. I'm mad now. I'm like, she left when I said bye to me. I'm her number one connection. So I go in
Correct.
there, and she's still in there, and I tapped her. I said. I said, you got a child at the house. You got to go. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you can't. You know what I mean? He ain't coming. You know what I mean? Like, it just is what it is. You got to. I got to look out for your safety and your well being now. So you got to get home so you can handle your business in the morning. And walk. And I carried her down and walk. You know what I mean? Make sure she got in the car and got on safe. AJ's still in the same spot.
Right. But you let him know that she was there waiting for him, correct?
Oh yeah, no. I said, hey. AJ, it ain't fair. I've been talking. It's my party. I've been talking to her most of the night. You need to get your time in. She will be in my guest room right up here. Because he grabbed her, went on the way. I was like, oh, girl, I didn't get my time yet. I was like, I'm being fair because I'm with the bros. I'm a bro guy. So I was like, yo, you right. You know what I mean? Let's keep it fair. She'll be up in the room waiting for you, dog. You know what I mean? You got to have your time and y'all can talk about what y'all need to talk about and things of that nature. And I set it up that way and he didn't care enough, which, that's fine. And at that point, you're right. I was fanatically caring and thought I was in love with Alexis, but I was getting Alexis's I was getting her representative. I didn't know her. When I finally got a real conversation where she thought she had a out with AJ to make it to the end and she didn't necessarily need me no more, I got the real Alexis in my eyes, and it was a woman that I was like, oh my God, I couldn't, you know what I mean? And we had it out off camera. I mean, World War III, and it was over. And that's when I said, okay, well, who do I have left here? I had 3 connections the whole time. I was the first person to pick my 3 connections. Alexis, Chrysanthemum, and Amber the whole time. Never had a 4th, never had a 5th, even though I was, it had connections, Ida and Stacy, but for other reasons, those couldn't necessarily happen. And Amber was still left. So I called up Amber, and said, yo, you want to go out and have a drink and stuff like that? And everything was cool. And that's when we kissed and everything was fine. But me and her was done. After that, if I never saw Alexis again, it was in life, it was okay on both sides. We were yelling at each other. It was like bad, Like I was saying, when we're meeting up again in the elimination and stuff, the energy is part 2. This just happened. You know what I mean? It's just like, I don't like you is the energy. She don't like me. That's the energy between Chris and Jessica. I don't like you. I'm not supposed to say nice stuff to you. We don't like each other no more. That's the energy. And it's okay to have that. We're human. Why would I sit up there and smile in the face of somebody I don't like?
We got current castmate Aries in the house. Hey there, Aries. Welcome in. She's explaining things from her perspective. She says it was a situation of semantics, combative situation, quote unquote, versus you are combative, quote unquote, are 2 different things. I totally agree with that. She says there wasn't a consensus on calling just Jessica combative in that moment. So the
Mhm.
words
Exactly.
used by Marie were incorrect. Thank you, Aries. We
Exactly.
appreciate that. Good to see you. Good to see you in the house. Yeah. Go ahead.
But
What
we
were you gonna
do know that Chris feels that she was combative because when in the elimination he says you are combative. He felt that in his
Well,
heart.
But that's
here's
not
the
the rest of
thing.
the guys.
Here's the thing I can tell you. So someone's perception, one person's perception of something does not make something a fact. Okay.
Oh, not at
Mhm.
That's
Exactly.
all.
what I
Not at
can
all.
tell you.
Not at all.
Okay.
Exactly. And that's what needed to be said because the other guys didn't experience that.
Mhm.
That's what they said. So it was wrong for Morier to just go and take what Chris said and then use that
Hmm.
as what all the guys said. And that's what started this whole situation.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
already
That's
knew that their
right.
connection had fizzled out. They already knew it was
Mhm.
over. She
Mhm.
was moving on to Morier. He was
Mhm.
moving on to the other ladies to try and establish a connection. Yeah, it was pretty um, he was trying to buy slippers and charm other ladies. That's what you're on the show to do. You're you're
And
you're
he
there
must
to
not
try
have
and make
heard about
connections.
that old wives' tale about buying women's shoes. He must not have heard about that being from
Mhm.
Nigeria. I guess he don't know. He don't know. He don't know the structure of never buy a woman's shoes because those will be the very shoes that she walks out on you with. But
Right. But you know what? It was enough to get Jessica mad and jealous, and that's why she started taking shots at Lee for receiving that gift, right? And
She
Lee
thought
was right
we
in it
we
and
coming to
confront her
that. We
about it.
coming to that. Let me continue on. I see where you're at. Okay. So speaking on that, on the combative word, every man in the as we're still in the mansion and it's coming around to them, every man, save for one, and that's Chris, claims to have not said or used the term combative as it relates to Jessica.
Mhm.
Um, and Jessica says that she was raised to respect the dead. Did you guys see any significance in that, or what do you think she meant by that? And then we'll move on.
She meant Chris is toast. Chris
Mhm.
Chris is the dead that she's talking about.
Right. Okay. Calvin, you agree with this? Is there a
Ah,
consensus? Do we agree
well,
that he
well,
was toast to her?
I'm seeing an
Okay.
element. I'm just into the concept of love. Do they really understand what love is? Because when you really in a mood for
Hmm.
love, you have a sense of um, we
Karen.
have to get to know one another, and therefore I'm not. You can't make nobody reciprocate your feelings. If you pursuing a person and they don't like you, they just don't like you. You don't take it personal because it's
Mm-mm.
somebody else on the scene. So it's narrowed down to just a few people, and it seems like it's
Hmm.
more conflictual than it should be if it's about love. It should be about, okay, you don't want me. That's okay. I'm okay. Because if I have to beg you to love me, then I have to
Right.
beg you to stay with me.
We'll be doing that the whole relationship
That's
through.
right.
That's
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 right. That's
absolutely
right.
right.
That's right. You set the tempo and the beat right now for what is going to be sustainable or not sustainable. If you're talking about a long term relationship or commitment, it has to be something mutually agreed upon. If it's not, that's okay. I can't make you love me. I have a hard time if you want to like me, but I definitely can make you love me.
There's a whole song about that. I can't make you love me.
Mhm.
We see that Janelle and Jessica begin to chat. They say, "Hey, boo, what's going on?" They sit outside. Jess says that the only point she has is that the one man that couldn't look her in the eye and said that he didn't say it, she suspects he's the one that said it, because this has been his past language with her, that she's
Mhm.
combative, that
Mhm.
there was a combative situation, and we've seen those clips. Okay. Um, and why she wants to know, why can't Chris be honest about what he said? That's her
Mhm.
question. That maybe you would think it does or it does not go to character. I don't know. And then the question comes to me: can some people be bad influences on others, i.e., Janelle and Jessica's situation?
Mhm.
We all influence people, whether we know it or not. We all influence our friends, our coworkers, our other students. If we're in school, we all influence people in various ways, and we all affect each other, and sometimes two people just don't hit it off for whatever reason, and that's
Mhm.
okay. um Marie talks to Quentin and tells him that he knows he messed up and that he
Mhm.
should go and talk to Jessica, and they
Yep.
they need to have a conversation. Do you guys agree that they should have a
Y-
conversation?
Yeah.
Yes, because
Yes.
he started the mess.
Mhm.
He started the mess, right? Okay. And Oh, let's see here. In the next scene, we see the singles all out on the bridge. They're fishing. Seems like they're having fun. Seems like also none of them do this pretty regularly. I really have to say, I have to stop and interject. I enjoyed this scene so much because as a child growing up, I spent my summers in Texas. And my uncle, who's gone on in now, Uncle Nookie, as we used to call him, his real name's Eugene, but we called him Nookie for some reason. I think because when they were kids, somebody couldn't pronounce Eugene, so he was Nookie. He used to take me down to the beach in the waters of Galveston, and we used to fish quite a bit. So I really enjoyed seeing everybody out having a good time, relaxing. Nobody's angry with anyone. And just as I'm enjoying the scene, we see that Quentin catches a fish, and there's Janelle back at the house. She's yelling across the pond to Quentin, "My boo, what's going on?" And it's a whole thing. How do you men feel about her being so possessive over Quentin? What have you ever experienced that in your dating life? Is that something that you would ignore, or how would you handle that?
Well, it's obvious she's the one that's leading him, and he's conceding to it. The thing about it, he is conceding to it. She established the fact that you my man, whether you want to be or not, and all hands off. She said it before on more than one occasion, so it's not new. Here it is. Lee was in his presence. She just yelled out, "Get back! He belongs to me." In so many words.
Mm.
Yeah, it's a level of possessiveness that, she feels intimidated because she's slightly insecure that Quentin could potentially strike something up with any of the other ladies.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a way to, she'll probably be in the house listening to everything that's going on, and then right on cue, as soon as Lee and him start interacting, that's when she's gonna jump out.
Mm-hmm.
So, she's really being territorial and claiming, Quentin as her man. And Quentin is complicit because he has said last episode that he is off the market. He said that he is, when Kat asked him, are you exclusive to Janelle type thing? And he was like, yep, he is. So he's complicit in it, in allowing Janelle to be that way. So I don't feel sympathy for him, but I don't think it's going to end well. I'll tell you that now.
Yeah. So Ron, what would you say? You've had a woman be possessed. What should he do? We won't talk about you personally. What should Quentin do? He's dealing with this woman, with Janelle, and every time he even speaks to a woman, she's all over him like white on rice. What would you do in that instance if that were you, Ron?
He's off.
He's off. Okay, all right, that's okay.
Well, there isn't really much Quentin can do in that situation other than play along with it, because that's his main connection. And if that's, he's seen Janelle do that on a few occasions, shut down other ladies in front of him. So, he's going to do what he feels necessary, and he is complicit and co-signing what she's doing. If he had a problem with it, he would have sat her down like he did to talk about how she handled certain situations she was reacting to. If he had a problem, he would sit down with her and he would say, listen, I'm here on the show to make connections with other ladies. And if you are the true connection, then you will shine through more than the other ladies will. But chill on trying to be possessive and embarrassing me like that. But he's not doing that because he enjoys what she's doing. He enjoys it.
But what it could translate into the long time could possibly have caused concern, because she may be overbearing and beyond this setting, not just for now. So, like you said, he should establish some perimeters with her and let her know that I enjoy the attention, but let's be fair to me, because if it's going to be something beyond this, it may be more complicated than what he realized. Because he still has that breathing room, and he's a person that's around people, so he has to be able to make his living. So he can't be, why was she doing this? Why was she doing that? When y'all with other people,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And looking at his line of work, he's going to have to be very personable in instances to try and generate business. And if she's carrying on this way at this point so early, then I think getting into a relationship, that behavior could spill over into his professional, like his career, and that, especially as he's just trying to start. He's in his first year of entrepreneurship and all of that stuff, working for himself. So he has to generate his own business. And by doing that, that will involve networking, advertising his services. And if he starts to get clients, you know, Janelle may be, you know, already grooming him for what is to come, which will be
into physical business.
She'll be interacting with those ladies, or interacting with him in front of those ladies to show, this is my man, this is my possession. His hands off, eyes off, you know.
I love what the word you chose to use, and when you said grooming, her grooming him. And I don't see that being a good fit, because like you said, he trains women for a living, and if she's going to be like that, that's not going to be a really good fit.
Nope.
We see Chris meeting up with Lee, and he decides he's found a gift that he wants to give her. Is very special. He says to her that she is special and that her heart shines brightly. Lee seems to be happy in this moment, and Chris says that everything is working out. Next, we come to Jessica explains to the men why that word combative hits so hard. She explained that to Marie, and the two of them, after they talk about it, they do some conflict resolution, and they decide to keep it pushing. Jess says, in a confessional, we see Jessica say to us that she is pissed, and she's taking care of herself, and not anyone else. And I could totally, as a Black woman who takes care of a lot of different people and has taken care of a lot of different people, I totally relate to that. Like, I'm just going to take care of me. Like, I'm hurt. This has really insulted me and offended me. But what I'm going to do right now is take care of myself. Chris instructs Aries on how to do archery. We're in the next date. So Chris is instructing Aries on how to do archery. They seem to be enjoying each other's company. And Chris and Aries, I don't know. Aries says that she's not sure how serious he is in this moment. Did anybody else catch that? What did you guys think of that? Why would she be saying that? Why does she think that Chris is not serious?
Well, because it says that
Go ahead.
Is he ready to be intentional? You know, maybe when you're grasping for straws, and this is late in the game, so to speak, he is grasping for straws to make sure that he's okay and still a contender. But he's putting forth the best effort, but it may be a little bit too late because he lost a lot of ground. And this is the 10th episode, so he's losing ground fast. He's trying to sustain himself, but it's ambiguous, you know, because it's not clear on where he's going, because he's losing ground. He's lost his connections over time. So I don't think it was effective, because after all, she felt that he maybe wasn't a strong contender at that point.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I think, you know, Phil and Aries have pretty much had a very cool connection at this point. They've been very open with each other and seem to have a nice chemistry between the two of them. Nothing's perfect, but, you know, they both seem to gel much more than any of the other couples or potential connections. So I'm really rooting for them. And I think her comment about Chris was mainly because Phil is the solid connection, and Chris is not really doing anything to, you know, change that. So she was just making it known that, yeah, Chris, you may be a cool guy, but you're not really overtaking Phil in her estimation. That's what I took.
You have to understand Chris's mentality right now. He knows a guy is getting sent home that day. And he knows, because he's into this hated relationship with Jessica, and Janelle and her are best friends. As I said, when it's freaking frack, y'all need the guy should have broke that up a long time ago. But he already knows he got 2 votes against him, so he has to go to the other 3 girls and smooth them up in order to get the 3 votes he needs. He thinks he needs to stay on the show. It's it's simple math at this point. No matter what he does, Jessica and Janelle's voting him off. He knows that 120%. There's no guessing. He knows the play. I need 3 votes. He feels in his head to stay home. What he doesn't understand is even if he gets those 3 votes, it's not gonna matter at this point. But he's running around trying to smooth on the women to get the vote on his connections and buy him some more time. And that's just basically what it is. I think Aries could see through that a little bit because she does not see the same consistency in him that she's seen in Phil. And that's basically what she said. You know what I mean? I need a guy I'm going to go with the intentional guy than somebody throwing a curveball, you know, or wrapping up towards the end. It's the same thing with Janelle and Quentin. Quentin basically is saying Janelle's been loyal and consistent through this whole time. She hasn't picked a lot of connections. She's been with me. So even though Lee's gorgeous and she's coming in like that, I think Quentin's loyalty is going to still be to Janelle because that matters in a situation like this. Where's your loyalty at? Where's your consistency at?
But
that means something.
But Quentin offset that by not being loyal to Janelle when he later tells Lee that he's still open to find a connection with her, despite telling everybody last week that he was off the market.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
But does he have a choice with Janelle being so aggressive, you know? And it seems like she's saying, well, regardless of what you feel, Lee, this is still my man, you know? I know you athletically like he is, but that doesn't matter. My claws are all in him, you know?
Calvin, you did not come with the claws. Stop that.
Well, I mean, you know, she hollered out when he had the little fish on the...
She sure did. She said, oh, we going to eat good tonight.
I got him on the hook. I got him. Okay.
He's the one that's actually on the. Hey Calvin. Quentin may be the one that's on the hook. Not
that's
the
right.
fish.
He's a big fish on the little line. She got
on the little line. Yeah. So guys, we move forward to Katarina and Marie have a dinner date, and Marie shares with her that he is working on his dual citizenship. And I'm like, wow, you know, this is another thing I love about the Ready to Love cast. So many of them we see on IG travel internationally on a regular basis. And Ron, of course, Ron can speak to this because he travels internationally on a regular basis. The two of them, Marie and Katarina or Kat, they are flirting and they seem very comfortable sharing conversation together. Guys, what are your thoughts on that scene?
Well, who is she connected to at this point in time? Does she really have any solid connections?
No.
Is she fishing too? Is she fishing too? Huh?
She fishing. She trying hard.
And this is late in the game. She's still there. She's still a contender. But how viable of a contender is she?
And I think Marie is the easiest person to talk to, kind of guy-wise on the show. And I think our season Jason was that role. It's that guy that's gonna call you up, check on you, all the girls. He's gonna play kind of like that friendship, but blur lines type of movement with most of the ladies and things of that nature. And if you're in a situation like this and you don't have a connection, you're gonna buy to the person you're most comfortable with. And he has the gift to kind of make the women feel comfortable, you know, around him, and good for him, you know, with that. Is this a love connection? No, but and not even because she's using him or anything else like that. I just think it's just too late in the game. I think he understands that, but I do believe I understand why it looks smooth and it went smooth because they probably have been talking on the phone. I believe Marie talks to all the women. He's the person that if you're a woman, you'll probably go to with your problems to hear you out and stuff. He's a pretty good listener. And yeah, I understand it.
Okay.
You call it politician, Aubrey, but
at this point, now I'm gonna say this is, Ron. I would have said that there's some things he's done earlier on. Let's be fair now. We've been watching his move, right? But I think at this point, to what you're saying, you have a very excellent point. I think he's like Jason. He is that guy. We as women, we all know guys. We all hopefully have guy friends that we're truly platonic with, right? He is that guy that can hold a conversation. You can talk to him just as long as you up, you're down with the tarot cards. He's that guy. That's fine. And that's part of being a politician. A politician can talk to just about anyone.
And I can't, the guys like me, they're hunters, I can't do it. I only had the numbers of the women I was talking to. Everybody else, that I wasn't interested to in a love connection, even though I love them as a person. Like, you could ask the girls, you could ask Liz, Kyra, Venetia. I didn't even have their number. I didn't call them the whole time. And we're all great friends now, but I wasn't there for a friendship. I'm only going to call the women I could be flirtatious with on the phone and talk sexually, whatever I want to say in a romantic sense. I can't sit up there and have a regular platonic conversation with somebody who I don't feel comfortable kissing at that moment when we're supposed to be on the show looking for love connection. But the guys who were able to do it, I respected it, because I was like, man, this dude can go up there and have a conversation with a woman and make her feel comfortable about anything. And there's not even no love connection thing going on. He just got her feeling comfortable. I couldn't do that. I'm a hunter. When I saw them, I want to hunt. I don't want to see have a conversation and figure out how everybody's day is and stuff if I don't have a romantic connection with them.
I got a question for you. Go ahead, JR.
And that's called the friend zone. Like, they're cool talking to Maury as a homie, as a friend, but there's no romantic connection.
And I'm afraid of the friend zone. I'm terrified of it. I don't want no part of it.
And that brings me to a question I have for you, Ron. So this is very interesting because, like you said, the dynamic between the men is always cool. You guys are cool with each other no matter what. But what happens if one person gets really serious about, like we've seen Camille and Cornelia's season, where right off the rip, they became an item. And same thing with Joy and with Clifton, right? So what happens with the men when you guys see one of the guys that's in the men's room has gotten gotten comfortable and has picked a mate? Then do you all just naturally leave that woman alone? Is that what it is?
We do. I mean, Joelle chose Venetia day 2. None of us talked to Venetia after that, for the most part. Out of respect to Janelle.
And then the thing about that is, okay, I can appreciate and respect what you said, and thank you for that. But the problem with that is, what happens if that same guy all of a sudden toward the end of the process decides he no longer likes that woman? Now what? Now she's lost all this time getting to know the other guys who she might have had a connection with.
It's a risk, but we can't predict that. Where are we going is we're asking him, when we see one of our guys say, hey, if you send her home, I'm going with her. And we're like, oh man, you must really like her. We need to stay away from her. And those words be being thrown out. And, and that just is what it is. Now, if he runs a bold mood at the end, that's to his character. But, it's a woman's choice. If she really likes the guy, she's going to put all her eggs in one basket. And if she wants to, I don't know how to play it. There's no transcript on how to play this game of ready to it's a risk. It gets like dating in the real world is a risk. It is what it is. But I know the guys at Bro Code, if we're seeing that you really like a woman and everybody kind of knows up front, most of the stand-up guys are gonna leave her alone. Now, some guys that gets wolves and they're gonna want to stay on and things of that nature, and they'll use your woman as a pawn. It happens. But most of the majority of guys are gonna say, "No, Ron's my man. I can't be talking to her like that. I know he really likes her."
Especially if she's into him as well.
Yeah,
you respect that.
Yeah, but some guy, not every guy follows the Bro Code. That's not how it is. Yeah, not every woman follow it. It is what it is. I had to learn that the hard way. But no, they're not going. You can't expect everybody to. So everybody's not going to be you. But I know personally, I would never cross that line. And I know a lot of guys that's been on castmates that feel the same way.
So to that end, is that the reason why you said that the Frick and Frack should be broken up on this show right away, like they broke up Chrysanthemum and Stacey B? Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, I'll be honest. We broke up Chrysanthemum. It was a guy's decision, and it's because of situations like this. where this is not fair to Chris.
Mm.
Because he's really supposed to have one vote off on this with Jessica, the person that he does not like, but he's already going to get a default vote for Janelle just because she's homegirls with Jessica. You know what I mean? That's not fair. He don't have nothing to do with Janelle. Him and Janelle probably never said 3 words through this whole experience. But you're already gonna get a second vote going in with it because of the freaking frat situation they got going on. That's not cool. The guys don't move like that. It ain't 2 guys that's holding each other's hand and say, "Hey, man, when you vote this way, I'm gonna vote that way too," because we boys. That ain't how we move.
Like you said, to your point, it makes it illogical when you stop and think about it as a viewer. How did Chris get voted off the show but I don't know, but maybe there's more people voting for Marie to stay, because here's the thing about, like you said, he and Janelle had no connection at all. But the question is asked, who do you have the least connection with? And it would be true for her to say Chris. She has no connection with Chris, right?
Yes.
But
Right,
with Marie, we see that he's tied to Jessica. He's tied to Katarina. You know, women. He's that secondary guy that's like you're in your pocket guy, right? Basically. Okay.
Here's what it boiled down to, because I know a lot of the audience is curious about that, because in their eyes, they're like the count should have been 2-3 in Chris's favor anyway, because the other 3 girls should have said, "Hey, we cool with Chris. Marie got to go," but the other girls did not say Marie had to go. For one,
right?
Somebody said Quentin, somebody said that. So really, the count was kind of fair. But here's the thing, you saw Lee fighting for Chris. That was a fight for your man. Right. You saw Jessica fighting for Maury all of a sudden. We good and all that stuff like that. It boiled down to the fact that within a tie, and we're getting towards the end, and I'm going to have to show a love connections pretty soon. As a producer, I have a lot more film on Marie and Jessica than I do of Chris and Lee at this time. And that's what it boiled down to, period.
And even still, like you have Quentin, who, like I said before, took himself off limits for all the other women. So what are they saying? They're going to keep him in because they feel like they've got a shot to try and get to know him better? No, they're not. They're going to, like, he only has Janelle really as a connection because he made himself exclusive. So when we check it, Chris had the most connections out of all the guys. Aurier has been, he's had a connection with Kat and Jessica, but none with Lee. Like, so that's 2 connections at the best that you can give.
A strong connection beats out a weak connection on this show all the time. It literally, like, prime example. And I regret this at this time. Like, the same situation was going on with Chrysanthemum when it felt like all the guys was ganging up on my connection. I'm fighting for her. If I had to do it again, I would have fought even harder. Even though I thought I was fighting hard, I didn't know how hard I really had to fight, because you have to prove to production that, hey, this is my connection. I'm willing to die on the cross for it. That matters to them. So, you know what I mean? Like I said, Lee could have saved Chris, I believe, but she would have had to go so hard that, oh man, okay, wait, this is something we didn't know that she felt this way about him. Okay, we got to reconsider this because she really cares. I didn't know, like, you know what I mean? So you had to go extremely hard. It was the same thing with Ida, with me in the first thing. All the guys was ganging up. I mean, I got the last vote. I said, no, I like her. I'm doing this. And Tommy looked at me and said, now, Ron, do you like her enough to put everything on the line? This, and that, you know what I mean? This is on day 2. So you could save somebody, but you better convince everybody in there that that's your one connection, end of the road. I'm willing to ride and die with it. If she goes home, I go home. That's
okay. That's the key right there, what you just said.
Yeah. You got to be like that. If she goes, if I'd have been like, hey, if y'all let Chrysanthemum off here right now, she's now my number one. Forget Alexis. And if she goes home, I go home. Probably could have saved her. Same thing with Lee. If she would have said, hey, if y'all set Chris on, you might as well walk me out the door right behind him, because that's my man, and I'm want to roll with this 100%. Forget quitting. Chris saves.
But for Lee, she's looking at both. She's looking at both Chris, and she's looking at that she still feels something for Quentin, or that he may decide to dump Janelle because of her behavior and all her possessiveness, and he may decide to slide over to Lee.
And that's right, but that's why I said a strong connection beats out the vote. That's why with Quentin and Janelle, I bet you if they were about to say Quentin on, Janelle would have said, I'm leaving right here too. They know that. So his connection is literally stronger than what else everybody else got going on. So he's not going anywhere.
But like you said, a strong connection is with Morier over Chris.
Right.
Morier is more established than Chris, because even though he did the I'm a spiritual guy, but he kind of recouped from that. You know, Chris didn't really recoup from his deficiencies. You know.
But with that said, I think Chris and Lee is the best match on the show.
I got a question for Calvin. What do you see as Chris's deficiencies, Calvin?
Well, the way when it came down to the wire, he was the one they just said, he was the one that had to go. Several people said he had to go, probably because he was falling apart. He wasn't able to reinvent himself, you know, at this point in time. He should have been doing something more to get back in the loop, because he was doing very well. He was charming and charismatic, but something happened along the way, and he started to just kind of get off base. I think it was just the power play that emerged with him and Jessica.
Right.
And maybe for the women, that was a turnoff for him, because after all, you come in with this guy that the women had to be submissive and docile, and maybe that hit a nerve with the other women too.
Yeah, nobody's really talking about that, so I don't know if they're all willing to be docile and all of this other stuff that Chris is going to need from them, coming from his Nigerian culture. But
they all said in the women's lounge, remember when they said, "I don't want to do the heavy lifting"? You saw a cat. You saw all of them said, "Oh no, I don't want to carry no weight."
Oh,
like 4 or 5 girls said that.
Not at the women's lounge. That was at the retreat round. But
okay.
They said that. They did say that in front of the men when they were doing that game, right? They were doing the
Yeah. Oh, these women don't got no problem with Chris paying all the bills and doing this thing. Trust me. Ain't no problem.
They do it. They have to be submissive.
Find out they lose all of their control and independence. They will have a problem with it. Trust and believe that. They're saying that they don't have a problem with a man paying their bills, but what they're also not considering is what comes along with it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what's the solution to that? That's $1 million question.
You don't date. You have that balance.
Date a man like my mom married. Date a man.
Identity.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. You were saying, Kelvin?
I was just saying, I can spend your money, but I still have to be me. This is a different day. This is not the 50s or the 60s. And
it's not.
You can't expect for women to get you to take care of them, and then they can't have say what they need to say, you know?
Let's see what they're saying in the comments. But real quick, so because we're almost there, Quentin and Janelle sit down and they talk about their connection. Quentin asked her I thought this was a very serious and important question that takes some introspection for the person you're asking it to, and then also yourself. He asked Janelle, how do you address conflict resolution? And here I have to note that my ears glazed over, and I mean not my eyes, but my ears literally glazed over as Janelle she becomes a politician and she says her piece, but her piece for me as a viewer falls on deaf ears. Does anybody else have any thoughts about that scene with Janelle and Quentin
about conflict resolution?
Yeah, how would she resolve any conflict resolution? And she says something, we would talk about it, baby, yada yada yada. Yeah. And I'm like, but this is the same lady that pulled up on Katarina? This the same lady? Or is this a different lady?
That's it. Conflict resolution looks like pulling up on Kat. It looks like lining all the guys up to see who said what. Yeah, throwing shade. You know, that's conflict resolution. Like, I feel like the way that Janelle gets her kicks is from having those back and forth with people. I think she really enjoys that type of environment. That's why she continued. Like, this is why I had an issue with her challenging the guys about respecting Black women. She was the same person that has been dissing Black women on the show. She's called them raggedy, she's called them ugly, she's called them all types of things. So that her getting all of a sudden defensive about how Black women are being treated or perceived, she's been the one throwing the most shade.
Mhm. I can
Right.
say it,
That
but
is
you
true.
can't say it. Scenario. I can say it, but you can't say it. I can say
First
it.
part of conflict resolution is accountability, and I'll just leave it at that. That's facts.
Oh, well, how about that for Ron being succinct? Go ahead, Ron. Go ahead with your bad self. Let me see. Wait a minute. Aries, you said this. Let's see. No one was going to lose control or independence. He never asked that of anyone. Only two people took issue. Well, Aries, he isn't going to say that, dear, that you're going to lose control or independence. But let me just see if you ended up with him. We'll see what happens at the reunion or on the bridge, because it's nice of you to say that as a platonic friend, what he will and will not do for his woman. But unless you're his woman or have been his woman, it's kind of hard for you to gauge, I think. It's kind of
I
hard for you to
think
gauge.
I think we have to remember that there were different types of energies with the ladies. You had the more softer spoken, assertive ladies in Lee, Kat, Aries, and those were the ladies that Chris was gravitating towards. He had a problem with the ladies who are not as warm, soft spoken, or friendly to be around, cool to hang around with. There's always the potential for conflict with a couple of those ladies, and we already know their names begin with J. So, at the end of the day, he hasn't displayed the same level of what most viewers are upset about with all the ladies. It's only been the ones that he has identified as being more problematic. The ladies that he's actually cool with, he's actually been very different. For example, when he bought Lee the gift, Jessica was mad because she was like, he didn't buy me a gift.
When did she say all that?
Well, that's when she was throwing shade. That's what Lee was trying to get to the bottom of. Wait a minute, just because he bought me a gift, what has that got to do with your argument? It seems like you're throwing shade right now.
Oh, okay. Okay, the ladies' lounge. The ladies' lounge. That's coming. That's coming. We're almost there, guys. Just give me half a second. We're almost there. Yeah, I would like to know that too. You got that compliment, didn't you, JR? Aries says that you're smart.
Oh, thank you, Aries.
I had it up on the screen. Let me put it back up. I want you to see it in all your glory. Yeah, she's correct. I agree with that. But Mona asked the question. I would love to know where Janelle and Jessica are now in their love life. Oh yeah, we gonna get some pieces of that. I think because just by them being on the show, we got a whole reunion coming up. So stay tuned.
Don't call the meeting.
What? I hear you over there, Ryan. Cover your mic.
No, I was reading the comment.
Oh, okay. What's the comment say? Because I'm reading and I'm trying to read other stuff. What did she say?
He said them two called a meeting to confront the men.
Sure did. Resolution.
Okay. Well, anyway, finally we get to oh, wait a minute, but one important thing on that with Janelle and Quentin that's important. I like that Quentin spoke about in a very straightforward and earnest way, and this is where you see vulnerability on his side. He talks about an issue that he had with an ex who didn't give him verbal and physical affirmations, and Janelle talks about that she works very hard to do those things for him. She gives him verbal and physical affirmations, and so then we're talking about people's love language. And I think that's the thing, that I think you can love a person as much as you want, but if you're not connecting with their love language, that person may not really genuinely feel that you care for them because you're not responding in their love language. So for some people, it's verbal. Sometimes it's physical. Sometimes it's actually physical gifts. Anyway, so Aries and Phil sit down. She talks about the fact that they're no longer 23 anymore and that she's concerned about his financial stability. What do you guys think?
I'll tell you this. Phil's my guy. Like I said, we went to college together, this and that. It was a direct question, and I feel like we didn't get a direct answer. I mean, I appreciate, I appreciate the pain about, your family and all the stuff you went through, but it's like you went through every single thing. If a woman asks me that question, I'm gonna say, I work here, I make this much a year. This is my next steps to what it is, and this is how I plan to provide for whatever my future girl and family. Because I got to give you a direct answer because you asked me kind of a direct question. I can't really move it into this way and then move it in that way and then bring up family stuff and then move it back and never actually give you an answer to your question to me. Because women, I know women, when it comes to security, they want to feel secure. That has to be an answer that is straight to the point, logical there, where she believes, okay, we gonna be okay. This is this man's direction when it comes to finances. This is what he believes. This is what he's planning on doing. This is what he got brewing. Where she feels secure, where she can relax and say, okay, he got that. I don't got to worry about that question. Because I don't want that question coming up every other week and every other day. I want to handle that question right there on the spot so we don't have to deal with it no more. We could worry about some of the other stuff emotionally and things of that nature that we need to get into. So when I get that question, because finances are direct, it's numbers. When I get a financial question or something else like that, I have to answer it as most direct as possible. And my guy, I think he blew an opportunity there to really calm her insecurity. If she had any insecurities on how he's running things or handling things financially or what his job plans are or what it was, to really nail it in the bud right there so they don't have to discuss that no more.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Right. I love how the chat be having their whole other conversation going on. Aries is addressing some situations about Chris and talking about the ex date and so forth and so on. JR, what do you think about getting back to where we were? What do you think about this thing with Aries and with Phil and about his stability?
Yeah, I think there is a need to want to identify how stable he is, because he has expressed at various times different professions that he's had, and even quite recently getting into the field that he's in now, based on the fact that he was doing seasonal work before.
Mm-hmm.
So I can understand why there's that curiosity, and maybe having conversations about it seemed to be wearing on him a little bit, because he did say, this is like the third or fourth time we've had this conversation. But I just think, this to me is a good match. So I think, once he sits down and says, this is what I do for a living, this is how much I earn, this, that, the other, I'm hoping that if he does do that, then that's enough for Aries to say, yeah, okay, cool. I'm down with that. Let's see if we can make it happen. Because, Phil's rubbing her feet like 4 or 5 different occasions now. So he's really trying to show her that he likes her. So I hope, if there is an issue with his earnings, they can have a conversation about it and somehow still make it work.
You remember Chris saying that he wants a guy like me? That was his words on the and that was a financial jab.
That was a
shot. It was a financial jab.
Right.
So he might know something we don't know. He's on the phone with everybody. So
well, yeah, and I mean, again, I say, to me, it's not rocket scientists. I've been able to sum up people's socioeconomic status by listening to them talk, looking at their shoes. It's not rocket scientists to figure out who makes what. It's really not. It really isn't. You can tell someone your profession and they can look it up. We got a thing now called Google, right?
Yeah.
So, okay, so there's that. But hey Jay, it's good seeing you. Jay from Another Round is out there in the chat audience. It's good to see you. Wait a minute, hold on. What is Mimi? I'm sorry, not Eris. How many times are RTL meetings called because of a man's choice of word? That's a good question. We getting there. Getting there. And just so you know, Eris, be careful. There's a guy out there called Stay Tuned Reviews that's in the chat, and he practically worships you, but he's not sure if you're going to help him smuggle food out when you guys go to those buffet type of restaurants, because he's big on buffets. Okay. But if we move along, we progress. And I want to just say this last part about the date with Phil and Aries. So to what Ron said, Phil took this time to talk about, instead of how much he earns and how stable he is, and to push his agenda and why he's the right fit for her. the mother of 2 sons. I think he also has a child. He begins to talk about his loss of his father and his stepdad and how that caused issues for him. And, now he's in a better place. Was it Phil that was the one who was also saying that he was going to therapy? Or am I thinking of, no, I'm thinking of Marie. Marie told us that. Okay. And he says that he is ready for a long-term partner, right? Next, we see the ladies are in the ladies' lounge with uncle, nephew, cousin Tommy. Eris says that Phil has zeroed in on her. Janelle says that Q is thoughtful, he listens, and he accepts her for who she is. Okay. All right, girl, if you got it like that. Lee
sure
says, yeah, Lee points out that someone was my man all weekend long. I think she was talking about Janelle. We kind of know that. And she mentions that Chris showed up. He showered her with the gift, and she liked that. Kat has her interest lies with Marie, and Jessica says that her and Marie are going to be all right. They are locked in. And at that point, my eyes glaze over once again, because now I'm like, oh, they locked in, huh? They locked in. It sounds like an alliance to me, but I could be wrong. So we see the elimination dates. We have Chris and Jessica meet up, and Chris is admitting that he doesn't know if this is an elimination date. He says, but he doesn't know because he feels like it's 3 against 2. Marie meets up with Aries. Jessica says she's put on her big girl shoes, and the two of them actually greet each other at the restaurant with a nice little church hug. Chris and Jessica, they start off calmly, but then it begins to devolve. He says that someone can tell you about who they are, but when they show you who they are, believe it. So I'm like, we about to see, aren't we? Jessica says that they both agreed that they weren't a match. They talk about that for a moment. Aries tells Marie that everybody likes him, but for some women, he's simply a platonic friend. We see Aries give Marie the go-ahead that you are still ready to love. So we transfer back over to Jessica and Chris, where Chris looks immensely tense and nervous, right? He's shaking, he's trembling. And when she tells him that the women have the sentiment is that he is not ready to love, he loses it. You don't understand me, you never have. F you and F everything about you. And of course, if you're over on IG or Twitter, we've heard that there were some chairs knocked over and some other stuff going on that they didn't even show us. Chris, come on here and interview with me and let us know what's true, what's not true. I see you've been on the whole campaign trail with a dear future wifey and all that, but we need to know, why did you go off on this woman like this? Guys, I hand it over to you. You talk about it. What do you feel?
The rabbit had the guy. The rabbit had the guy. Because he spelled something about, not necessarily combative, but he feels that he feels insecure with Jessica, and he feels intimidated by. He may not verbalize that, but it's something about her that he's not comfortable with. And he calls her combative, and she said, "Well, you want me to be submissive to you? Why is that? I'm not submissive, so I'm combative. I feel bad that you would say that about me. Here it is, I'm a black woman. I have to stand my ground and do what I'm a professional woman. I have to do what I do to make sure I'm okay. But when I speak up for my needs, then I'm being combative by a person who wants a woman to be submissive."
All right.
Yeah. I'm gonna say this. This is a setup scene, right? And Chris falls for it like I did. So if you see Marie, and most of the people, when you see them doing their elimination thing, is always a friend for the most part.
Yeah.
These two don't like each other. They might have just got in an argument and fight. Like I said, mine was Alexis coming to do my, you know what I mean? Like when I see her there, I know, and it's not a secret. You know you're about to go home. You know all that stuff is not a surprise, not a shocker. You see her, you see the extra production there, you see the Rolls Royce pull up. You know what the scene is all the way going through it. There's no shock. They send you somewhere super far on a Saturday night just to get you pissy in a pissy mood before you even walk into this scene. You are the bait. You are the setup one. And this is how it goes. And then you're seeing a person that you do not like right here, and you just want to get it over with. And what happens is she says, just like Alexis did, some disrespectful, non-true stuff to you, this whole scripted out thing. They might even got in with production and rehearsed it before you even walked in. And you're going to react to it like Chris did. And what they're going to do is edit all her stuff out. Make it seem like you just out of nowhere said, screw you, your life, F you and everybody else. And then they're going to go over to the confession room, which she did the next day, and go, oh my God, I don't know why he's so angry and being so mean. And you have officially been set up. That's what this scene is. 100%. I hate to be the one to break the TV to y'all, but that's what it is. This girl probably said all kinds of stuff to this man during this thing.
I don't see that part, Ron.
Oh, you don't see it because they edited it out of here.
But to your point, no, wait. I see a lot of what you're saying. I see that, you're driving somewhere far out, whatever. They pick BFE, as we like to say, right? You know about BFE, right? They pick somewhere way out for you to meet. They know this is the elimination date. I get all of that. I get the tension. I get all of that. But here's what I want to know. When do grown men and grown women have composure? At what age? If you're almost 40, you're 39, like you're a stone's throw away from 40. When do you gather composure about yourself as a man? Or do we blame that on everybody else too?
No, you don't. You can say like, hey, he don't owe her composure. He don't like her. He
does owe her respect. He does owe her respect.
Why does he?
Because that's what human being people do to each other.
He said, I'm trying to respect you as a female. He's trying, but she's not making it easy because you're not hearing what she's saying.
As a woman, but clearly he's not, because he ends up cursing her out. What?
But you don't know what she said. They've edited a lot of this out. I see this scene for what it is. You're not getting the unedited version on this. When on my scene, they edited 85% of the whole scene. There's no context to anything Chris is saying right there. They are editing their butts off, and that's why I can't take it for face value what it is. He got mad. I don't know what's been said or how this was played out in real life to blame Chris in his particular flame. But I do know he doesn't like her, and he wasn't going to bite his tongue no more. And if she kept pushing the bear, what she was trying to do to get the scene right, he responded. Blake won enough, but Blake's a different breed. Like I said, most of the guys that's a protector, provider, a real man and stuff like that works hard and lives life like that, was not going to take that. It depending on what she said. And like I said, we don't know what she said, but it was something, trust me. Because he didn't get, if you look at how that scene was edited, he responded to something that was not said on the, it was obvious he was responding to something that wasn't said in the thing.
I do get that. But Ron, I'm just saying, but listen, at some point, when do you gather composure? You say he doesn't owe her that. I disagree. I think that we all owe each other composure as respectable human beings. And here's the thing. You don't let anybody pull you out of your character. So that shows me that's who he is.
It probably is his character is. If you disrespect me, I'm going to disrespect you back. That's probably his character. But is that wrong? That's human. It's not his thing. He's coming in to hear the information from her. It's not like he called her on the phone and said, hey, you B, this, and this. She's bringing the information to him. He's leading this conversation. It looks like, even though with the editing, it looks like Chris is. She's the one leading the conversation. So everything that's thrown at him is stuff that he's responding to. That's how this scene is done on elimination. So he's responding. She said something, and he said, you know what? I might take that from 9 out of 10 women, but you're the one I'm not going to take it from because I do not like you. You not show me any respect.
That's a thing too. So like you talk about, okay, people don't owe respect apparently to people that don't give respect. Okay. So here's the thing about a bully and a coward. You will pick the person that you know is not going to swing at you, the person that you know that's not going to rant along with you. So why didn't he pick Janelle to go off on?
They're the same person.
There's no connection.
They're the same person. Janelle's not more stronger than Jessica.
I refute that. They are not the same person. And I've been talking to other people. You cannot, just because you want to say Janelle is a mean girl, to me, you have evidence of that. You cannot say though because she has a friend named Jessica, they are the same person. That's just like you having.
No, I didn't mean as the same person. I meant as they're both strong in the same reason. If he would go after Jessica, he would go after Janelle. He ain't afraid of any of them. Plain and blank. He's not.
I disagree. He ain't going after Janelle.
Listen.
Why?
Oh yeah, he will. He's not afraid of no woman. He's not. That guy ain't afraid of no woman. Probably no man.
Right. Janelle would have crushed him. A, B. She's got a man, and we all know as women there are men out here that when you are single, i.e., you're single, you're not married, or you're not in a relationship with a strong alpha male, that men will try to crush you. They will try to demoralize you. They will curse you out. He would not have done that, Janelle, for two reasons. One,
What? Give me the two.
Stronger than him, and two, because if in this moment she supposedly with Quentin would have crushed him. So he ain't doing
one, she's not physically stronger than him, for one. For two, we don't know how much Quentin cares. And for three, he's not attracted to Janelle. He's not attracted to Jessica. When a man's not attracted to you, he really has nothing to lose. Like he's like, I don't like you. I'm not attracted to you. What, you know what I mean? What am I afraid of? You can't do anything to me.
Exactly. Listen, they had no connection. So he didn't have a connection with Jessica and he didn't have a connection with Janelle at that point. He made it quite clear. When she asked him, so what specifically turned you off or whatever, he said, you didn't want to show me your softer side. So after that, I realized that you may show that softer side to another guy, but it's not going to be me. That's what he basically said. So I don't think he's afraid of Janelle or Jessica per se. The reason why Jessica's there and Janelle isn't is because he had a connection with her at one point and they chose her to do the elimination, which I think was foul as well, because there will be some emotional charge there, because let's face it, Jessica was kind of rejected in that moment. He said, listen, there was something about you that turned me off. Yeah,
because he says that?
Exactly, because he said, I was turned off because you wouldn't show me your softer side, right? She was like, fair, cool. She wasn't going to do it. She said she had no compulsion to change that particular thing about herself for this guy that she just met. And there were a lot of support for her doing that. So now that the connection's gone, right? Now it's payback time. So payback time is, I'm going to humiliate this guy. I'm going to get him to hang himself. I'm just going to give him the rope. I'm going to keep pushing, provoking, and get him to wild out.
That's what the scene is about.
Right. And then the thing is, this is why she's so composed, because it plays into her character on the show. She's a boss, a CEO. She's used to dismissing employees. She's used to having that composure when telling someone, look, you got to go, you're fired.
And so he isn't used to having composure as a male boss, JR?
No, I'm actually saying that in his case, he did have composure initially, but what was being said and edited out, we don't know. And it was heavily chopped and screwed. It was literally like you press fast forward on certain parts of a TV show you're watching and then press play, and then you arrive at a different sentence, a different conversation. Like there was a lot going on with that editing, but they wanted to portray him in a certain light, and he bit the bait. He definitely went too far. So I think that he shot himself in the foot, to be honest. The best thing he could have done is said, listen, we have no connection anyway. All right, cool. I got sent home. Bye. He could have still pursued these ladies that he's interested in after the camera stopped rolling. A genuine connection.
And that's something we never hardly see, JR. Am I making this up? We never see that, because I ask season after season. So and so says, well, you see them on their interview with Crystal XO, and they say, oh, I really had a connection with so and so. Did you follow up on it? No. So what?
A lot of times the guys do, but when a woman don't need you to be on the show no more, energy changes. It's different. It's a different representative. So the guy's like, okay, I ain't signed up for this girl, and then it fizzles at the waist. But men reach back out when they're beautiful women. Why would you not reach out as a man? You know what I mean? Back in it. But it's different when it's on TV and it's a show thing, and it's different when it's in real life. It's a different type of energy. And I think when the men feel that it's different, they're like, oh no. Like, you know, they think it's You know what I mean? They look at it differently, and they're not gonna follow up best damn. But I don't know. A lot of women have been like, "Oh my God, I was waiting for you to get eliminated so you can call me." The only time I've seen that was with the season 2 where you say you need to go rewatch that reunion though, because it was probably one of our best ones. But when Mario went back to his connection, but I think he never stopped talking to her. I think when she got eliminated first, for one, it wasn't the guy that got eliminated first. When she got eliminated first, he kept talking to her the whole time, and it just evolved into something. But and he was still on the show. But I've never seen it where two people were, where a person was kicked off the show and the male called the female after that and got the same exact energy back to where she was on the show. Because you got to understand, they need your vote on the show. So a lot of people are going to act different on TV with the cameras on and off the TV. Off the TV, they don't need you for anything. So, it has to be a real connection.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. So, did the right person go home, guys? I mean, I know we may or may not agree on this, but was Chris the right choice to go home in this moment, in this episode? Should it have been Chris or should it have been Marie? What do you think, guys?
Well, I personally think, unfortunately, the way that Chris reacted really let himself down. If he didn't react like that, I would have definitely said Maurier needs to go. Because like I said before, Maurier is still into tarot. He had amethyst in his pocket for a cat and all types of stuff. Meanwhile, he's still talking to Jessica. So he knows that Jessica's not interested in that lifestyle. She don't want anything to do with that personally. And other than Jessica, I mean, this connection with Kat is the same connection as he had with Sierra. I don't see it going anywhere. So Maurier, in my opinion, would have been the ideal candidate to go home. Bearing in mind, Chris had 3 connections at the time that he was still exploring, and they were trying to get to know him. But he shot himself in the foot by reacting that way. There's no going back after that. Imagine if he had stayed, then Janelle would definitely be gaining on him to try and provoke.
Oh, Janelle's going to push his buttons every day.
Exactly. So,
especially if but they got the power next week.
Yeah, they do, and that's the danger of it is, okay, you felt powerful eliminating Chris because he wasn't feeling you no more and the whole combative thing. Cool, but then next week the reality is you've only got Maurier as a connection, and you already eliminated Maurier by saying you don't trust him this episode. You're not interested in his lifestyle, so spiritual wise. So who do you have left, Jessica? So it may feel like a victory at the time, but when the reality sets in and you look around and you're like, Quentin's with Janelle, so I can't go there. Phil's with Aries, so I can't go there. Who's left? No one. So you may have won that little battle, but you lost the game. You just checkmate yourself.
Yeah, I'm okay with Chris going on in this one, only because I feel that the connection was him and Lee, and he should have did if he was really feeling Lee on that 100% level, he should have did everything in his power to make that known during this episode. And I just felt he was spreading it too thin. And I think he should have and Lee was the only one that really went hard for him in the confessional. You know what I mean? So he should have really went after Lee. He didn't. We don't know if Maurier and Jessica is gonna be a connection or not. I don't see nobody else checking for Jessica, so it might just be a process of elimination with it. But yeah. So they might work. I was saying that earlier. You know what I mean? Like Jessica's strongness and Maurier's I don't really care type of personality usually works together well. I knew Jessica and Chris' personality would never work. You know what I mean? So that could still be a connection. And like I said, I believe Chris and Lee is one of the best on paper connections on this show, but Chris didn't step it up. I feel in time and let her know that, I really want you and this is what it is. And because of that, you make that wrong move in on this show and you can go home for that. And I'm okay with him going home. I'm not going to say, I know everybody said the way he overreacted to things of that nature. I'm just totally with the fact of saying, I don't know how that edit went down. I'd have to see the real full apps clip with no editing. to see what's going on. And I do believe that a man has a right to have emotion and say, hey, there's some men in this world I do not like. And because there's some men I don't like, there's some women I don't like.
Mhm.
And if I don't have to be nice, and I'm nice, and I'm a gentleman, and I'm a most giving person in the world to 99.9% of the people who walk this earth. But if I come across that 0.1% male, female, child, or dog, I do not owe you respect or niceness. I just don't. I can say I do not like you. I can say it proudly, and I can say we don't never have to cross paths ever again in life. And my life will go just fine, and yours will too. And I don't have to be nice around you. I don't have to be fake. I don't have to fake smile just because we're on TV and the cameras. I don't have to do any of that stuff. I'm exhausted. I'm too busy trying to please the other half of the world who actually cares a little bit or shows some kind of compassion or respect to me. So I don't think everybody says his attitude was this and that. Like I said, I got to see the edited thing, but I don't think he overreacted. I think he has every right to say, Jessica, I do not like you. You do not rub me the right way. I do not want to be in a room with you at any time alone. I got forced to be in this situation, or I would never have been in a room with you alone at this point. And I reacted the way I felt. And that's just the way it is. Doesn't make you a bad person. Doesn't make you that. It makes you human. Because trust me, if a woman was in a room with a guy who was 400 pounds and broke, and because not saying that's just how he feels, might feel about the situation, and he was talking crazy to her, she is going to go off. Because you know what I mean? She's like, I don't like you. So how in the world do you have the nerve to say anything to me in a disrespectful way when you, out of all people, like that's how they feel, how women feel, and then they unleash that anger that comes along with it. You know, Chris was set up, and he had a choice. I could even play the game and be nice and notice it's being televised and stuff like that, or I could be real. But guys like Chris don't know how to play it both ways. They are full passion, full work, full provider, full protector, full this. And when it comes to these type of scenes, they're going to be fully themselves on that too. A guy like Blake is trained to do certain things. You know, them lawyers, a person like
yeah, he has that military background. My daughter
Yes.
has that too. And some people, like my father. Okay, so my father was a former Army, but he's also very stoic. But like I said, it's called composure. Whether you're a male, whether you're female, it's called composure. And here's the thing: you're not letting anybody get you off your square, whatever she said. But you know, I find it interesting that in the chat and here as we talk about it, that people will assume that she said and did or said something, whatever. Aries is saying, I'm gonna put this up on the screen, because Aries says that he tried to leave 3 times. I don't know about that. And I'm not disagreeing with it, but here's the thing: whatever she said, we caught what he said. And my problem with it is, where is his composure? Where's his composure? And you
he's in the setup scene, Aubrey.
Let me have a second here. You can say all you want that men have feelings. I'm not saying men don't have feelings. Of course they have emotions. But this is the same man that last episode told us that women are too emotional to be leaders. They're too emotional to be bosses. And then what does he go and do? He goes and loses it. So maybe you might want to rethink that,
setup.
Chris.
Okay,
that's fine.
That's the exact reason why it was a setup. Draw him out into emotion.
You think like
But
it's
you walk
1920
right into
and it's
it.
2023.
You walk right into it.
Yeah, but that's how you get to him. You trigger him by attacking the fact that he is like that, and you remain calm and composed, and you basically get under his skin by challenging the respect that you have for him. And like Chris is, to me, Chris is so emotional already. Chris, he took a picture out of his mother when he was on a date with Aries, and he was emotional then. Like he's shown that he's very emotional.
We see that, but I want to go in a different direction, JR. No offense. I want to ask you something. So someone in the chat is saying, Mona is saying that he broke things off with Jessica. Like we're saying, you know, I guess when I hear that, I'm thinking like, were they in a relationship? Were they lovers? Is that why he's so high strung and emotional? Were they having
no, it's opposite. He's high strung and emotional because he's like, I've been done with you, and now I gotta and now I gotta be in a room with you when I thought I'd never have to speak another word to you, and now you're talking crazy to me.
I'll grow up.
Exactly.
Like, we haven't all been in rooms with bosses and people that we didn't want to be in a room with.
Not
Like,
when you're
really?
getting set up. When you're on there,
Exactly.
everything's on attack on this type of scene. I was in the scene. I get it. You're getting attacked, but you're getting set up right in front of you. It's a very cool. As I said, I respect a Blake that says, "Hey, I don't care. Like, I see this coming. I'm gonna play it a certain way." You can't be on this show and be really open to love and really wear your heart on your sleeve for these women and not fall for this scene. Impossible. You can't switch that quick. Nobody's that good. Blake didn't care about no love on this damn show. He's chilling. He was ready for this type of stuff. But literally, Chris is over there wearing his heart on the sleeve. He's trying to be there for the women. He's doing that, and then you switch him into battle zone where he has to think like a military sergeant, like you just said, and he can't do that. It's impossible. And you set him up, and he fell for it. He did. I mean, easily said. And it makes it worse with the edits. Like I said, like if we saw the full thing, I bet 99 point people would be like, "Oh, I see why he did that." If you saw the full thing, I'd be like, "Okay, I get it now. We're missing the key parts, the context. They took it out." He probably tried to lead. They say, "No, we need this scene. Sit back down." You know what I mean? There's a lot of stuff go on. But the fact of the matter is, you're right. He still fell for it. But I don't blame him for reacting when a person is pushing his buttons that he does not like and want to be in a room as an adult. And it's okay for two people to just say, "Hey, we hate each other."
Right. And
It's gonna be some beef. It's gonna be some beef every time we step into each other, around each other.
Say that part. Yeah. Say that
But
part.
let's bear in mind that the date didn't actually start off hostile.
No,
like,
I said that. They came in, they embraced each other.
Yeah, but it was that friendship hug, right? Now the thing is, when they actually sat down and began speaking, she wanted to relive why he isn't feeling her anymore. So he had to go down that whole journey again. Look, I asked you to be softer spoken with me and not talk to me like an employee, and you couldn't do it. Like, you didn't want to do it. So that's what kind of made him go in a different direction. Now, hearing that, that's when it started to go downhill, because she's like, "Oh well, now I'm gonna have some revenge because I get to send you home. I've got the power."
Mm-hmm.
Now, like I said, he was wrong for reacting the way he did. What he could have done, another option would have been, "Oh, I know where this is going. Oh, this is revenge time for you. Okay, I'm not going to let you have your moment. So just tell me I'm going home. Like Herbert said last week, just let me finish my damn sandwich. And then, I'm going home."
Ooh, talk about composure. That's what I'm talking about. Like, at some point, you're going home. Like, so what's the big deal?
Exactly.
He wasn't about to go home. I don't think he cared about going home, but you're not going to have a person that you don't like in any setting talking crazy to you.
Exactly.
And not respond to them. He doesn't have no respect for Jessica. So if I don't respect you, it's really hard for me to like literally just have you talking crazy to me, saying stuff that might not be true or things of that nature, bringing up sensitive stuff about, you don't know what she said to him. And he just gave her a reaction. He didn't owe her no composure. He don't like her. He don't respect her.
Composure is the gift you give yourself, Ron. If I can say,
and you're very right. The same thing that Stacey.
The gift you give yourself, so you're not out here looking all crazy.
Very true. The truest thing, and because we are a brother and sister today, Stacey said, in that situation, we understand they were setting you up. We understand what you do, but I live by these words to these days. She said, sometimes, Ron, you got to save yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You got to you got to be your own life raft. You're getting set up. It's going down. You got to pull a Blake. You got to be your own life raft and save yourself. And I say, Stacey, you're 120% right. That's exactly what I should have did in that situation. I didn't even think of it like that. You're right. You're getting set up and stuff like that. But I'll tell her to this day, I didn't want to. and he didn't want to. And like I said, mine was edited so crazy where I didn't even do anything that bad. I was keeping composure. But the fact of the matter is, the energy in a room is the energy in a room. I'll be the first person to tell people, no matter what was edited and everything that was not true and everything was going on and cut up and chopped in my scene, the energy was bad from walking in. I'm in a room with a person I do not like at this point. And that's just bad energy. I'm with a person in the room we just had a bad conversation with the night before. I'm not in a good mood. They try to give me liquor in the car before I walk in. You know what I mean? It's a setup scene. But the fact of the matter is, my emotion and my energy is, I don't want to be here. I don't want to, everybody in the world I want to talk to, I don't want to talk to this person. We've already done this. I'm tired. The energy's bad.
But now to be
Exactly.
fair, Ryan, I got to bring up this point. So now you bring me to a point. Aren't the rules, and we just talked about this, I'm not trying to throw shade on you, but I'm just saying for emphasis, those who came in late and joined us and haven't watched the replay yet, you said that you had a party at your home, correct? Earlier in this in this podcast, right?
Yes.
Okay. But the rules supposedly for the game show are that you guys aren't hooking up, meeting up outside of the show, correct?
Yeah, we broke the rules.
Right, you broke the rules. So
we broke the rules as a cast.
Right. And let's be fair. I think this happens with pretty much every season with a lot of different people, and that's the problem. So now you feel offended. You feel some kind of way because you have to reenact this whole breakup. But we, as the viewers, we don't know that you and Lexus. I was rooting for you guys. I was rooting for you. I was in your corner. But we don't know because you're having all this stuff happening outside. Same thing with every season. I'm sorry.
I was rooting for Ron and Chrysanthemum, to be honest. But listen, the thing that we need to realize here is, like, a lot of the time, you can sense a negative energy from someone, right? And when you're sitting directly across from them, you can sense whether there's warmth there or not. And, you know, the conversation's obviously going to go a certain way if you feel like they don't like you anymore, you don't like them anymore, and you're just there so you don't get fired, you don't get fined, like Marshall Lynch, right? And what I think Chris needed to do, and obviously it's in hindsight and all the other stuff, but he needs to realize is that just because some people are fueled by drama, it doesn't mean you have to attend the performance, right? So he could have definitely avoided having a heated conversation with her that led to him losing his cool, but it's hard to do in that moment. There's no way, I think, that he intentionally set out from day one, or, you know, from the moment he got there to be like, yeah, you know what, I'm going to go off on this girl now. I don't think he did that. I think it was a gradual build-up, because based on what I saw, the date was going okay. It wasn't even a date. It was basically a nice way to send him home. Right. But like I said, when it began to get into, oh, so why didn't you choose me? More of the interrogation stuff, just like when she sat the guys down with Janelle, she sat the guys down. Who said this? Who said that? That's what she wanted to do with Chris one-on-one this time. And like I said, that's not gonna rub people the right way. Yeah, I was going to say interrogation doesn't usually rub people the right way. And it seemed more like she was grilling him about the decision to move on from her. So, you know, after a while, that's going to get tedious. And like I said, he lost his composure. He lost his cool. That's where he messed up. But, you know, the sentiment was, look, we agreed. You're not going to show me the softer side. That's what I was looking for. That's the end. You're a Morier now. That you're going to show that softer side to Morier. Cool. I'm happy for you. He's going to move on to the other ladies. Let bygones be bygones, but she couldn't do that.
My thing is this. Just because this scene is set up to really not for them two, it's really set up for the audience. They're trying to hit a nerve in the female audience that watched this of a situation where they might have been in where a guy overreacted on them and stuff, and bring those emotions out because it makes for good TV. Just because Chris will go off on Jessica does not mean that he'll go off on any other girl. That's what he does, is go off on women and things of that nature. It's literally a one-off where he just does not like her. Period. They don't like each other. Like, that's what the point I'm trying to get in on. It doesn't have to do anything about his character at all. He could be fine with 99.999 other women in the world. He don't like her. She don't like him. That's it. That's all we saw. And if he wanted to handle it by walking away and cussing her out, we've seen that before. But he can go over there and still be a loving son and sister, brother, and boyfriend and husband and things like that.
But since this is about love, you should raise the bar and how you feel and engage one another. Because I thought if this just because she doesn't like you or he doesn't love her, that doesn't mean they're not worthy of somebody else. You know,
No,
that
neither. They both worthy of somebody else. Let's get that straight. They're both worthy
yeah.
I'm not
of their
saying they're not
partner.
worthy. We're simply
Mhm.
analyzing this scene between these two
Mhm.
people. But I got to say this, though. You bring up an interesting point. So on your season, we saw that David, when Liz went to give the elimination to David and they met up, we see him getting aggressive, assertive, becoming this. I guess considers himself an alpha male. And we see her, he will not allow her. Do you remember that whole scene? He would not, basically, he was trying not to allow her to say that he's not ready to love. He gets up, he walks out, she's following him. It's like, to me, it feels like there's a lot of things. I'm not these people. I'm not in these scenes with them. Unfortunately, I don't have Eris's point of view where I'm privy to being there when this actual scene was filmed to see everything that was left out, Ron. But the thing that I do feel is you've got to wonder, just like with some women, some men do not like to be said they're not ready to love. So, everybody keeps talking about
It ain't about
prove
the
me
words of
this.
ready to love or something. With David's situation is this. This is why you're going. There's nothing you can really do. That's why I say I'm so impressed with Blake, because David tried to do opposite of what I did. I said I'm just gonna sit here and take it, whatever it is, man, because I'm done with this anyway. Da 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 da. I got a baby girl's birthday party to go to. You know what I mean? I I'm just taking it. David said, we both know it's coming. We know the play. 120%. There's no surprise, no anything else like that. David said, okay, I know the play, so I'm just gonna get out the situation real quick. Basically, try to produce himself, and they still got him. You're going to get set up either way because it's not your TV show. You don't run this. If they want to get you, you're going to get got for the most part. I've never seen anybody able to sneak out of it until I saw that scene with Blake and Morgan, where somehow he wiggled out of it and put it back on her. I never seen anything like that. Before, either way, you could try to walk out. They're going to make it seem like you was the crazy guy walking out. You could try to sit there and be numb and look dumb, and they'll just start doing close-ups of your face, got you looking dumb. It's the setup scene. They're going to get you. You can give them more or you can give them less. In this situation, Chris gave them more. But the fact of the matter is, you're going to get got for the most part.
Woo, Calvin, what you got? What you got for us? What you got for us? Because we're gonna see some stuff coming up next week with these people.
Well,
yeah.
I know he was upset, but there's life after. He should have kind of bowed out gracefully like Jessica did. I know he didn't want to leave, but it's time to go. When it's time to go, it's time to go.
Mm-hmm.
It's over. It's
Ari
over.
says she rides hard. She definitely is riding hard because she's explaining a lot of what. And Aries, I guess I take it you say that you were there in the scene. So how does that work? If he's on a date with her, how are you there on their scene? And I understand they probably weren't filmed at the exact same time. So I'm just wondering, did it come down to they had both of you there and they're trying to figure out who's going to deliver the elimination to him? You'll have to come on and explain that because, I saw the other interview you did, but there's still a lot of questions. There's still a lot of questions. So we'll wait till after the season is over if you'd like to come because we've already got some of your castmates that are coming to talk about it. But if you were there, I would assume you're a relatively neutral standpoint and you would give us your truth of what happened. I really do. But I don't know. We're going to see next scene, I'm sorry, next episode. We're going to see that the women are getting to meet the men's family. And we see Jessica, I guess it looks like she's meeting Quentin's brother and they're having conversations. What do you guys think about the scenes for next week? I hear you chuckling over there, JR. What's that thought?
Boy, I'm wondering who's gonna meet who. Like, there's 3 guys left, right, and 5 ladies. Wait, 5 ladies.
Yeah,
mismatch.
They do multiples, just like they did just recently on the Friends date, right? Or
right.
Next date.
But but are the connections strong enough for you to be meeting the family and thinking that something's gonna work? Nope. There's probably only one connection where I potentially see that. Now that Chris gone home, it leaves a void. Like, what? So everyone's gonna go to Maurier's house Quentin, who's only got Janelle as a connection, really. Yeah, I'm not sure how they're going to do that. I'll be very interested to see. And what's the point? I mean, if Quentin's locked down Janelle, Phil and Aries look pretty cozy, then I don't see why they would want to have multiple ladies going to the different guys' houses. The decision's already been made in 2 of the couples remaining.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Ron, what are your thoughts about next week?
To be honest, I had to jump on here. So as soon as I saw the ending of the Chris and and Jessica thing, I hopped on the call. So I didn't see the actual preview for that week. But my advice to Chris, and I understand that he's been doing interviews and things of that nature. I don't know how his scene was edited, but if it was as close to factual, I would tell him to own it and just say, "Hey, we were in a situation with high energy and stuff like that, and I went off on it, and she said something to me, I responded back, and I meant it, and that's what it is. I wanted to own my situation, but it was edited so bad I couldn't own." Like when I said to Alexis, and I said, I thought you were smarter than that, I was actually helping her. I was talking about AJ. I'll say, I thought, AJ left you in a room like that. You know what I mean? I thought you were smarter than that to know that he's just coming on to you for this last week to try to stay on there and stuff. Like, why do you think this is going to turn into a relationship? We're having a whole conversation about this. You know what I mean? When I said there's nothing you can do for me, it was a reaction to her saying, you're trying to use me for this. You know what I mean? I'm responding to stuff. So when they be like, so I can't own that because you didn't hear the other part. So, but, I didn't go off and say, F you, you know what I mean? It was nothing like that. It was no high energy moments and things of that nature where I could actually own up to and take accountability for it. It was like stuff where I was like, I love to take accountability. I'm an accountable guy. I love to take accountability and things of that nature. Couldn't take accountability for it because it was so.
Thank you for that. You go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, it was so chopped up and it was so edited. I was trying to find pieces that take accountability for it. What I do take accountability for is the only part that was really true was the energy in the room. I take accountability for the energy in the room. My energy was bad. Their energy was bad. It was horrible energy in the room, which is going to turn into a chaotic situation. But he did say, F you, this, and that. You got to take accountability. You have to own it. And you don't have to apologize, but you got to at least
own it.
You own it. You got to own it. You don't got to apologize. You don't owe her no apology. If you felt that way, you felt that way. It is what it is, but you got to own it.
Yeah, now, thank you. You brought up a point that I left out, unfortunately, and I want to come back to this. Chris says in his confessional after the scene, he says that he said what he said, basically like Nene Leakes, and he ain't taking it back. And to me, that's the part where what you're talking about, the ownership. And a lot of people in the chat are saying people aren't always composed. Yeah, guys, I get that people aren't always composed. But at some point, we've seen pretty much many characters come through Ready to Love talking about what they would do the exact same thing. I wouldn't change a thing. That's lacking in ownership and humility, in my opinion. So you can say
own what you did, what you said, but don't let public opinion change your situation. Because people will get on them, and then in a reunion, they're gonna try to get him to bow down and kiss the ring and switch his tone and stuff like that. And you said it, you meant it. Be that man and say, I'm not apologizing for that. I meant that. She said something to me. I responded back with all my heart. And maybe if I was being tactical and I was playing the game and it wasn't smooth and I didn't put the blatant move on it and I didn't make the right move, fine. But it doesn't take away the fact that she said something and I responded and meant it. And I'm gonna stand by that. Don't let, you know what I mean? It looks weak when you just let, the fans are getting on you and stuff. And now you bowing down to the fans. And now you sending a whole apology tour to Jessica, who you don't like, was obvious. And then you're in the reunion and you kissing the ring because Tommy throwing, you know what I mean? Like, I just don't like seeing it as strong, grown black men. You say something, stick by it, own it. I don't like that person. I said that is what it is. And be that man, you know what I mean? And take the heat. It's gonna come with heat. It's gonna come with all kind of heat. Oh my God, he doesn't understand the heat. But that's where we're gonna test this real alpha male that you claim that you are, this provider, this protector, and stuff like that. Now let's see it. Now you gotta prove it. And we can't just talk about it. Now let's see it.
That's so true.
Mm-hmm.
That's so true. Did anyone else have any other comments to add to what has been a very long journey and very emotional for me? And you asked why is it emotional for me? It's because like a lot of people have said throughout the this podcast, that the scene was triggering. The scene was triggering for many reasons, because he's a man and he cursed her out. And we see him shaking, we see him seething as we watch the scene, and it looks like there's much more that he wants to say or perhaps do. Someone asked the question, do we hold this against him for the rest of his life? No, because guess what? My life moves on after this season, right? So you guys got your 15 minutes of fame, but just know this, our lives move on. But we're talking about it right now because we just saw it. Never forget the fact that it happened 6 months, 7 months ago. We just saw it. So for us, it's fresh. For those of us bloggers and YouTubers and podcasters that cover it, it is fresh. So you want, on the one hand, you want us to interview you. You want our time. You want the exposure. On the other hand, it's you got to take the good with the bad. So we're gonna look at it, and I'm the person that's gonna come on here, and I'm gonna say that no, was she right in everything she said and did? No, I don't think so. I've said before about my thoughts about Jessica. Jessica comes across as very stoic. As JR pointed out, this softer side of her, we don't really see it. Perhaps her man
we never see it.
We never. Okay, yeah. Well, right. But perhaps her man isn't there, just like Chris. Maybe his woman isn't there. So I find myself as a woman that's an alpha woman. I'm not going to be soft with some guy that I don't trust with my heart. And I ask this question of women all the time. How do you know you're safe with him? And this scene right here that we're talking about, where he curses her out, she's definitely not safe with him, in my opinion. And you can take that any way, any way you want it. But all I got a question to ask Chris, and Chris, you're welcome to come on too. I call you OG Chris, right? Because you're the original Chris before the fine, tall Chris came on. And I ask you this question: how would you have felt if someone spoke those words to your mother or your sister? That's all I want to know. When you come on, I want to talk about it.
But she's not his mother and sister.
Exactly. She never will be.
She's the person he hates.
but
right. But you know what? But you gotta look at it, because, and here's the thing that I feel. Hold on. Here's the thing that I feel, Ron, to your point. I feel like, and this is something only Chris can answer. Not Aries can answer this for him. Not anyone else can answer this for him. I see Chris in this scene as being triggered himself. And you're saying some things, okay, that could be those things. But oftentimes when we're triggered by other people, Ron, it goes back to much earlier. Not just when he met her, not just because she's not soft to him. So there could be something else going on. And in the moment, you're triggered by something that happened when you were 10 years old.
Aubrey, I'm triggered by people all the time. The difference in the real world is I don't got to be in the same room with them ever again. I know better to be in the same room with them. He was forced to be there. It's different. It's some people, it's some women. I do not like you. I think you are a horrible person. It's a big world. I'd never have to run into that person ever again. If I do, I can leave the premises. I can leave the space. There will never be any confrontation. There will never be any argument. There will never be any.
Had a boss? Have you ever had a boss you couldn't stand? You still got to be in a room with him or her. Then what?
She's not his boss either.
No. I'm talking to Ron, and I'm asking him this question.
I've only had that situation one time, and guess what I did? I made my exit strategy to get the heck out of there. I can't work every day for a boss that I do not like. I couldn't do it. I tried it. I couldn't do it. I got out of there. I got myself, and every advice that everybody else ever gave me was, you need to get out of there because it's not gonna get better. You can't. And it wasn't even a situation where that person. I hated that person, you know what I mean? It wasn't like that. We just couldn't work together. I don't like you. You know what I mean? Like you're treating me a certain way. I don't like that. you can get out the situation. It's okay to not like people. Like I hate this thing that women think that above everything that black men just have to bow down and have to just show. If you're not clicking with a person act a certain way, he does not owe you that. Y'all just need to stay away from each other and be there. Don't be all, you know what I mean? And like I said, I feel sorry for Chris. Like I said, it's a setup scene. I fell for it. My advice to him is, like I said, own it up. You're going to get the ridicule. It will go away. There's no person who's ever came up to my face for Ready to Love and said anything bad about me to my face ever. People just want a picture and chill, and people eventually forget about the scene and everything else like that, and everything is fine.
Sure.
Production doesn't tell you that. I wish they would have told you that, Barry. It would have saved you a little stress. But no, you'll never be in a bad situation because what you just did right there on the screen. 99.8% of people who have a brain that works regularly know that this is just TV, reality TV at that, and it works a certain way. Now, anybody else who will judge you for what they've seen on a reality TV screen, I would second guess their brain activity. You know what I mean? Like what's going on here? Like, you know what I mean? You know what the show is basically about. It's been 12 seasons on here now. You get it. But yeah, it ain't gonna be no negative effect of it, even though it's gonna seem like it. You're gonna get some trolls on the internet. Who cares? You're a successful man. You got to go back to work the next day, get back on your square, get your business right, and go find your girl. But the fact of the matter is, you know, you have every right not to like Jessica. You have every right not to like the scene that they put you in. You didn't ask for that. And you know what I mean? It's okay. And for Jessica, I don't blame her either. She's doing what she got to do. For the game, for this, it works the same way. The best thing to do is just, like I said, Dallas is huge. I doubt these two would ever cross paths again in the same room, and it is what it is. But yeah, I would tell him the best thing to do, the best advice I could have got at that time was not to overreact.
Mm-hmm.
Just take the little stuff. It comes with the door. You signed up to be on the show. They got you. You fell for the setup. They got you.
Mm-hmm.
Take it like a man. It'll go away. The internet, all that stuff will go away. You will never have a negative effect on your life about it. And at the end of the day, most of your experience and everything that you get from this show will honestly end up being positive.
That's right.
Yeah. And that's how it works out. It doesn't seem like that right now, but that's how it ends up working out. And yeah, it'll be okay. He knows who you, and that's just part of you being confident and knowing who you are. You're not that person that they set you up there and act like to go off. That ain't how you react on situations on a daily basis. You know you. So if you know you, nothing anybody can say.
There's life after adversity. You can reinvent yourself, you know?
You don't need to reinvent yourself. He was fine being Chris. Go back to being Chris. You're done with this show now. It's done. You got a reunion. It's over after that. It's done. Go back. You seem like you were a happy person before this. Go back to being you. A lot of people can't go back to being themselves because they got on this show unhappy with themselves. They got on this show to change them. Oh, I want to be a celebrity. I want to be this. I want to be that. I want to turn this into a business. You already had your stuff in order. Go back to being you. That guy was probably cool. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Dope dude. You know what I mean? Got his stuff together, was building the businesses and doing all this type of stuff. Go back to being you. You're happy. And take the little notoriety you got and the fame and things of that nature. And the biggest thing is the connections that you made with your cast and the people that love you and you know, your castmates and stuff was always going to be there for you, your little fraternity that you made and be good. You don't have to run into Jessica with it. We got people, castmates that just don't talk to each other. It is what it is. Me and Alexis might not ever talk to each other. Me and Amber might not ever talk to each other again. I don't wish them bad luck or bad ill or anything like that. I understand they had to do what they had to do in certain situations on scenes and things of that nature. I get it. I don't like it, but you know what I mean? I don't have to be around them. So your life, like I said, life goes on and you can be exactly who you were. I went back to being me and loved every day. My biggest fear was, am I going to get my old self back? And the question of it is, you will. So just concentrate on that. And it'll be okay. But own it. Like I said, the worst thing you could do now is start doing this whole, oh, I didn't mean to do that. And I was this and I was drunk or this happened and this and that. All these different excuses and things of that nature. No, you said what you said. You meant what you meant. Own it.
There you go.
And
Not much I can add to that. You said it. Own it. That's what I feel. Own it. And we got lots of comments in the chat. Lots of people feeling lots of different ways. And like I said, I think this is the one where we're not gonna all agree on everything together. I see some people saying that Chris says he's in therapy. Some people saying, like Ron said, just own it, be who you are. Absolutely, be who you are. Be who you are, but just understand there's repercussions and there's payment. There's a debt owed at the end of it. However you treat people, you reap what you sow. Some people say karma. I don't believe in karma. I serve a God, and it's called you reap what you sow. So in
Right.
this doing this, you going around doing your campaign.
Mhm.
Clearly you feel bad about it. So I don't know if it's ever resolved that he apologized or he accepted ownership or responsibility for actually having started the whole combative conversation and putting that into Marie's head, or if he ever apologized for simply cursing my sister out. Like, so,
Mhm.
Right.
you can say what you want to say about black women, but on the one side of the neck, you say we all love black women and we hope to settle with black women and marry black women. But then when something goes wrong, it's all, black women are just so argumentative. They're so combative. No, we have a backbone. And why? Because we've always had to have a backbone. We've always had to have a backbone. Black women have always worked outside the home for the most part. I'm not talking about your doctor's wife here, your attorney's wife there, that is at home teaching piano lessons to their children and, fluffing up the pillows. But for the most part, by and large, black women have always worked outside the home. We've always dealt with harassment. We've always dealt with other people, non-melanated people, and they love to keep that narrative going that black women are angry and combative. And I
Mhm.
say
And
if you
I
are
don't.
angry, hold on. I say if you
Okay.
are angry and combative, and if that is your attitude, then that person has every right. But what I'm just saying to you, Ron, and everyone else is I haven't seen Jessica be combative. I've seen her be opinionated and argumentative, yes. But that's a whole different level
Mm,
of
yeah.
conversation and semantics when you start saying combative. And just like black men don't want to be stereotyped as the big black dude that's always committing crimes, black women have the same issue. We are in society dealing with non-melanated people, and they will take that and run with it and ruin our careers, ruin our businesses. So that's why I feel like it was very important to get this conversation out about what does that
Yeah.
word mean, combative.
Right.
Mhm.
But he wasn't about black women though. There were other black, in fact, there were more black women on the show that he actually did gel with. He had three connections as
Hmm.
opposed to Jessica having just Morier. So it wasn't all black women. And I don't think he was trying to say all black women are combative. He
Not at all.
particularly identified Jessica and the way she came across as being combative, right? And let's be real, like there may be a guy out there for her, and that, but most guys these days, they are expecting to have a connection with someone who is warm and open to being affectionate, not necessarily intimate or anything like that, but just giving the signal that you're actually happy to be there and you want to get to know the person. And at the basic level, if you can't do that, then what are you doing on the TV show called Ready to Love, thinking that you're going to show up stoic or stone faced or cold, or I don't want to smile, or I don't want, don't come on the show. Like, that's why you're single, because you have problems
Mhm.
escaping the caricature that you've painted for yourself when you go to work. At work, you can be stoic, you can be steadfast, you can be resolute in your decision making and make lots of money doing it. But that does not translate into a relationship. It doesn't make you the type of person that is going to give off the loving, caring, warm energy that is going to be expected on a daily basis. So
Mhm.
that's why I said initially, this couple, if they had ever got together, this would have happened no matter what.
Oh
Mhm.
yeah, no
Because
way of getting around that.
exactly the type of personality she has and the type of personality he has, it just doesn't mesh. And that's why
Does
they
not
were
work.
right to go in a different direction. All right. If she takes offense to him being the one that decided, you know what, you're not gonna smile, you're not gonna open up, I'm gonna go in a different direction. If that offended her, look, the reality is there are a lot of guys that feel that way. So, if you're not prepared to even And you're not doing it for them, you're doing it for yourself. Because if you actually want a partner, you're gonna have to be loving and caring. We don't care about how much of a CEO you are and how many employees you got and how good the coffee you sell is. We're not interested in that. What we're interested in is, can you be loving, caring, and warm as a partner and supportive and things like that? And I think, like I said, I have to reiterate again, Chris shot himself in the foot. He definitely, listen, when any guy responds in that way, we end up looking worse. All right. We're not supposed to stand there and take it. No, because everybody has their limit. But when we react as men, like, we are seen as worse. So he should have known that at his grown age of 40 and just decided, look, I know what she's trying to do. I'm not going to allow her to get that little moral victory.
He was not going to win that battle. No way in the world.
Yeah, exactly. He wasn't. But I'm saying he should have been mature enough to see the play, or wise enough to see, you know what, this isn't going to go well. She doesn't like me. I don't like her. It's not going to go well. Like, he should have identified that and removed himself as early and as expeditiously as possible. Because the longer he stayed there, the more potential it would have been for it to go left. So I do fault him ultimately, but I'm not going to let her off the hook either, because, like I said, Morier caused this.
Morier called it combative, and the guys agreed. The guys really agreed with the stuff. They changed their mind at the thing, but it was a group effort.
They didn't want to say it. They didn't want to say it. So it was really an all guy in situation. And then
until they had to own it.
Yeah, right, Calvin. Somebody had to own it. And just for the record, because I'm getting a lot of these and I'm responding in the chat, but in real time, I'm just wanting to say where people are saying, well, yeah, we know it's not all black women. It's not a black woman issue. It's her issue. But in the real world, it does become a black woman issue, just like, and we talked about this last season, guys, when who was it, Jeffrey, that said about black fathers not being there for their children. It is an issue, and we will discuss it. That's why we have these podcasts, because they're issues, and we love what you guys bring to us, because however you see it, we see it as an issue to talk about in the larger realm, right? So let's not play like we don't understand that. Let's not play those games.
Yeah, I think that was slightly different, because Jeffrey was deliberately trying to incite the guys that were on the shows that were fathers. She specifically knew that there were men on the show that were fathers. She was surrounded by them at the time, and she made that statement. She knew that was going to be inflammatory. And she had numerous instances throughout that season that gave the impression she was a very hostile and very how can I say, a very provocative person. But so Jeffrey is not the same as Jessica. Jessica is a completely different person. The energy Jessica gave off for some of the guys clearly did not make them want to gravitate towards her in the way that they gravitated towards some of the more warmer, friendlier ladies, i.e. Aries, Kat, Lee. You know, they spring to mind straight away because they have a different energy. So that's why it's not all black women. There are some women who present themselves as more approachable and more friendly, and there are some that have their walls up and their guard up, and they're willing to snipe and backbite and, you know, do all types of stuff to get under your skin first.
And here's the part that people don't speak about. Like, do you guys understand that after that women's lounge, y'all think everything stays in the women's lounge? It does not. Somebody called Chris and said, you should have seen the way Jessica was going at you to get you off the show. She was going hard. She was the main one. So you're going into this lounge you're going into this meeting, this elimination meeting, as in this girl been attacking me for all the other girls and stuff on a one-man campaign to kill Chris show for the whole time. So of course you already mad. Like, how dare you? You've been attacking me in the women's lounge. All the girls, I knew I had 3 votes. They was all on my side, and you just went on this whole campaign to try to kill that. And now you want grace and respect from me at this moment. You know what I mean? Like, he's already mad coming in because he already got the information. You think all the information you saw Chris didn't have? We get that information quick. He knew she was, and she was. And she was in there on a Terminator show to get Chris off of there. and this is the person you want me to love and respect and show grace to and all this other stuff. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
And that's why Janelle said that comment about respecting the dead. Like, she was talking about Chris already being
let's talk
barbecued
about
to get
that
out of here.
real quick. What did she mean? What did you take it, JR? What did you take it that she meant by that?
I took it as he's a dead man walking. Like, we already know he's going home based on what, how he's handled Jessica. So I think the fact that Janelle was leading the charge in that particular scene with the 3 guys sat down there, well, 4 if you include Morier before he skedaddled. She took charge in that moment, and she said it wasn't her cross to bear, but then she went and expressed her views about the whole situation. So she led the whole conversation. So,
it was the barbecue scene with Zoe in Miami, which is their barbecue. Exactly. They already knew what the plan was. He was going after them to get rid of. We see the setups.
Exactly. All they wanted to know was who said it, and then that's it. Like, start playing the tune because he's on his way out. Whoever said that comment. But the fact of the matter is both of them have been in a situation where they've had conflict and confrontation. Janelle definitely more, and that's probably why she was incensed even more, because it felt like she was also being targeted through Jessica, I guess. I don't know. But, the reason why they had a problem with the word combative is because it was given a word. If no one said that word and just said, yeah, you've got bad attitudes, or yeah, you're just cold, or you just like to go back and forth with people, I don't think they'd have so much of a problem with it. But it's like I said, it's ironic that the person who had the most to say about the combative stuff is the person who has actually been disrespecting Black women the most. Prolifically, she's got into it with Kat. She's got into it with Lee. She's got into it with Kyra, where her name was, the cheerleader lady. She's got into it with a lot of, and let's not forget Tequila as well. Like, she disrespected all of them, calling them ugly and all types of stuff. We're talking about
Janelle now. We're talking about
so
Janelle.
I'm saying that's the ironic part. Where was Jessica saying, listen, you can't talk about Black women like that? If they were so interested in how Black women are perceived, how are you going to let someone say all of that and you not check them? And then you're going to get mad with the men for not stepping in and checking it. When
Janelle called those women ugly bees, and I've never heard that in the history.
That would never happen.
He's right. He's absolutely right. She not only called them, and I had to go back a couple more times to catch where she called them raggedy bees, and I'm like, what? What did you say, lady? What did you say? Like, but you know what, Ryan? You pointed this out early on. This has been the Janelle show this season, right?
Mm-hmm.
This has been the Janelle show,
the
for
center
sure.
of everything.
Right.
And that's why a lot of guys you could tell they was afraid to really stay up to her and go after her and stuff, because what just happened to Chris, they knew that she had some kind of power and stuff to make that happen. You got the two, what Chris called them mean girls, reuniting and stuff, and they let it be known. Anybody come after us, you will be getting sent home, and we will be attacking you, so you better bow out gracefully. And I don't know what happened to your man, Pretty Chris, but I heard something like that took place, you know what I mean? So you don't know, you know what I mean? So a lot of guys are just like, yo, when I see y'all walk this way, I'm going the opposite way, and that's exactly where they liked it, to play it.
I'm trying to figure out what Aries says something was a turnoff for her. Aries, could you put it in the chat? What was the turnoff for you? Yeah, I mean, I get it. Some people are saying double standard, that men are supposed to be composed, but women aren't. I don't know. You know what? You just didn't grow up around my dad, because basically as an adult, my standard of adulthood is that we're all composed mostly all of the time. And I'm not talking about extreme situations where somebody maybe comes after your spouse, somebody comes after your child, or you're defending yourself physically. I'm not talking about that. Okay, let's be clear. But if somebody's just using their words, like, no, it's not it for me. And you can make excuses and you can say this and you can say that, but the composure thing stands for men and women, period.
No, I agree, but like I said, I would never ever. I didn't got hit in the face multiple times from a woman, from a situation that had nothing to do with me. A woman had a nervous breakdown about maybe a trauma experience. I think she got raped or something like that at one point, and just broke. You know what I mean? It just triggered her out of nowhere. We're just playing cards randomly, and I was the closest one to her, and she started just beating me in my face.
Oh,
bloody nose, things of that nature.
Yeah, I get it.
And I was so stoic. I never even flinched back at her. You know what I mean? I was always taught, no matter what, you never put your hands on a female.
Did you remove yourself from her as she's having this mental breakdown? And
I removed myself from her. She came back. She came. She apologized. She wrote me a freaking 6-7 page letter of apologies and everything else the next day. And I told my friend, I said, you know what? I understand what went on. I accept her apology, but she can never come to this house again.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, this was
and I said the reason why she can never come to the house again is because I'm having flashbacks now of the trauma I just went through. I can't beat it, can't do anything about it. I was helpless at that moment because I can't put my hands on this woman because the way I was taught to who I am to my being. So I'm helpless. I'm a little girl baby. I can't do anything. I can't put my hands. I have to take the hits. And I every time I see this person, I'm reliving this in my head. So trauma wise, just that quick, I can't have you here. I understand. I am not mad at you. I get the apology. You were graceful in that. It was heartfelt. I just can't be there. You know what I mean? Like, you just can't come back here. It's just a boundary now, you know, and that is what it is. So
yeah, I get it. I get it. She was at your home is what you're saying. Cause I think
yes, she was at my home. She was at my home.
Oh, okay. Oh, I absolutely get it. Cause anybody hitting me in my home, we got a problem. Absolutely.
But no matter where it takes place, I'm just saying that, yeah, you know, men have this thing, you know, regimen where, you know, a lot of men are taught not to put their hands on women. They will not do it and things of that nature. Now, with that said, you can't expect them to be historic in every way. So if a woman go out there and is talking foul stuff to me, and I'm going to say something back. I mean, I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. I'm not going to sit up here and act holier than now. That ain't who I am. You ain't just going to sit up here and talk to me crazy. Like, male, female, and it ain't because of a bullying aspect, because I don't care if you're Shaq. I'll take the beating. I'll take I'll die over it. I'm not going to take you just talking mess to me and stuff like that. I'm with it. I'm from Detroit. We don't do that.
Right.
And
go ahead.
Yeah. But that doesn't mean that it would never turn aggressive to a female. You know what I mean? It's just ways that you can talk, say your piece, and walk away, which I think this whole scene was. He did walk away. He did leave. And it's over now. But you know what I mean? Like, I understand you in that historic piece, and I really understood it when we were talking about Blake, because I was like, man, like, Aubrey, like, you're right. Like, that military training, he's good.
Oh, yeah.
And he wouldn't fall for the bait Chris fell for.
My daughter says that the military training started at home for her. So when you bring up your children in a certain way, they sometimes do understand that's expected of you. That's required of you. Now you can let yourself down. And like I said, like, you know, Ron, I was just saying to you, the composure isn't just for the other person, just like forgiveness is not for the other person. Forgiveness is for you. When you forgive someone, that's for you. When you have composure, that's for you. Because it's your character that's on the line. And
it is definitely, but it's okay to say I'm not that good. I'm not as good as Blake. First person that he's better than me at that. I am not as good at him as that. I could be the first one to admit it. Doesn't mean I'm a bet that he's better than me at everything, or that he's a better person, or this and that. As I said, he's more trained to be able to handle that situation different. I can't do it.
You would not believe the stuff that they go through. I'm gonna tell you something, because I sat at my daughter's school, but that's a whole nother story. But I want to go back to this, Ron, real quick, and see what you think about it. So Eris's answer responded to the question I asked her when she was saying that she didn't like it. She said that all 10 of the guys did not stand 10 toes down in that moment of that word combative. But I'm trying to understand, like, so should the other 3 guys take the hit for Chris? Is that what you're saying? I'm not sure if I understand that, Aries.
I understand what she's saying, but that's not how it works. When I threw that party and I got in that big trouble for that stuff, it was not my idea to throw that party. I was the only one that had a house. It was everybody's idea. When we got questioned by production and quartered in, I had to take all the heat. No guy sit up, man. KG like we dragged him there.
What about Joel's big luxurious house?
Nobody I took all the heat. Diedrich helped out a little bit. That was it. So
is Diedrich the guy that's chef on your season? Did he cook some of the food? What's going on?
No, Chef was on my. Teacher was there. He helped out a little bit. I didn't say cooked out the food, but that it was his. I mean, it was all our idea. But he helped out with production to say, "Yo, man, it wasn't all around, man. Like he really did offered us the house. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't like he put this grand clean together. You know what I mean? He was the only one that really stood up. Everybody else is just not saying anything. And I get the fear of the moment because you're on somebody else's show. This is a stressful situation. We in a dark room by ourselves, and they are mad. Just like in this situation, you got Janelle and Jessica, women, I guess. I think some of the men feared in some kind of way. And nobody stepped up and said, no, we're going to double down on that with them because of certain situations. So I guess Aries is saying, hey, y'all didn't man up in that situation. And I'm saying a lot of times in that situation, they didn't. And one person ends up being the fall guy, the scapegoat, whatever it was. And it was Chris. When I threw the party, it was at my house. You know, might not have been my idea, but at my house, I got to be the fall guy for it. So I didn't actually expect the guys to come in one-on-one, you know, without a little disappointed and said, damn, no, y'all could have, or somebody could have said something. Yeah, but you know what I mean? Chris did say it, and he was the one who meant it. We saw that he meant it because in the elimination, when he got mad, he said, you are combative. He meant it. So now you got to stand on it and stuff like that. The guys could have went together and did a unite front, but it's still a competition at the end of the day. They ain't going to do that. So it is what it is.
Right. I'm just looking at some of the stuff in the chat. Be careful out there, Wes. The things that you say as a chatter could affect the channel. So be careful of those type of things, what you're saying. I'm not going to put that on the screen, but you probably know what I'm talking about with the physical violence type of situation. But I don't know. Is there anything more that we want to add to this about, you know, this whole episode this week? I mean, it really showed me a lot of different sides of people. And it's true, like what Chris said, it's not who they tell you they are, but it's important for you to wait until they show you who they are. And I think we all, I mean, myself included, I think we all have representatives that people meet at the beginning. And only through time and exposure and being in different situations do you really learn the true heart and the nature of a person. And I understand that everybody gets upset. Everybody gets angry. Everybody's going to handle pressure differently. But
everybody is human. Remember, I was the one on Chris's case. I was on Chris's case the whole season. We've been there and saying, this guy's acting too perfect. This guy over here throwing ninja star, Pride Protector, walking with his shirt off. Now he's Mr. Romantic, and now he's this and he's that. And he's like, it's like, there's no way in the world everybody is all of that. We all are human at the end of the day. I was like, he's gonna have a slip up. It is what it is. Like, you can't play that role. Who you are is who you are. That's why I said you got to own this. And being Mr. Perfectionist for TV show, even as short as it is, film, this stuff is very hard to do because we're just not perfect. And as men and as black men, we're just not perfect. And it's okay to say that. It's okay to be that. It's okay to be human. It's okay to have emotion. It's okay to be you and stand on it.
I think one thing, Ron, that you pointed out, maybe it's you or whether it's some of the other guests that Alex and I had on over the 3 or 4 or 5 seasons that we covered this show. I think that one thing that's really obvious to me is that mental health counselor or therapist should be on the set. And I'm not going to say just for this show, reality show. Don't feel like I'm solo singling you guys out. I feel like for all of these reality shows, there's a lot of situations that they put you guys in that can be triggering, right?
He needs trauma now because he just got set up. If you ever got set up, you don't understand how traumaing that is. Like, a setup would send you back so far mentally. It's ridiculous. Like, he needs therapy now for what the show did to him.
Ron, let me ask you this question as you asked me. Have you ever dated a narcissist? Have you ever been in a long-term relationship with a narcissist? Because if you have been, then you know you've been set up all along the way. They will bait you. They will gaslight you. You will get, you will have emotional burnout by the time you're finished with a narcissist. You're dating this narcissist, and you don't see it at first because let me tell you something. These are very shrewd people. Narcissists are, right? And typically, they're attracted to the person that is the kindest, is the most loving, is the most giving, who is named an empath. So narcissists and empaths go together like cheese and salami. Okay. So yeah, have you ever dated a narcissist or someone that you thought might be a narcissist after
I,
the
I
fact?
I get that part, but this is different because the trauma that comes with this is with a narcissist, you could blame that person. And when you get set up, you gotta blame yourself first for falling into the setup. And that's for a person like him that's a perfectionist, that's hard work, that's hard enough on his own. And then the fact that it actually happened to you, and then everything, all the moving parts that they put on you to put you in that situation, it is a deep situation to have to go through mentally after that, what just happened to you that quick. And that's not even counting all the backlash that he's getting right now from the fans and all the internet warriors and things of that nature and what's going on. It's a lot to deal with. And like I said, I said I had a hard time watching this episode because it brought me back so quickly. And it took me a while to get through that part of the trauma. It was not the fans. It wasn't any of that stuff. It was about the fact that, dang, I fell from that setup. I can't believe the people I trusted did that to me. And nobody took my, it was a lot. The dialect and stuff like that at one time were coming at you. And it's tough. And there's nobody there to help you through that. If anything, people are just, they don't, you know what I mean? The rest of the audience who saw it don't really understand, and your castmates are still filming it or still doing their thing, so they're not going to take your back right away. They're going to wait till you cool down, or hey, you ain't as hot, and then they'll say, okay, I understood what went on, or what not on that point. But
I have a question, and you don't have to answer it if it's too personal. But you guys, I know you get together. I've seen you out, in pictures on Instagram. You've talked to me about it. But with Alexa specifically, and the two ladies, Chris Anthem and Lexus, what is there any general relationship? I don't mean like a love relationship, but just any relationship where you guys chat with each other or get together here and there?
No, we don't like each other.
You and Alexis, or you and Chris Anthony, or both?
Me and Chris Anthony are cool. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we just, like, yeah, we're cool. I'll put out olive branch, you know what I mean? Whatever like that is accepted with no problem. I don't know if me and Alexis yet, we haven't been in the same room since the show. I don't know if we could. I don't know. Oh. I'm a person that thinks outside the box. I'm a very forgiving person. That's just my personality. I'm the type of person, if you ever did anything good to me, for me, you can do 12 things bad and I can somehow forget about the 12 things and go back to the good thing. That's my superpower. That's why a lot of people like me. And I understood why that scene went down and why it did and why Alexis did what she had to do. And even stuff that nobody else understands because they weren't on the phone with this person 2 or 3 hours a day, and things of that nature. And I can be forgiving on that. I can be respectful, even if some things I don't respect about her. Some things I respect the hell of a mother she is. Great, single, impeccable. I saw what she did with that boy, and I was amazed. Made me a better father. And some other things. I understand that as a single mother, you got to hustle. I get all of that.
Okay,
but without any accountability at all, and I don't mind mutual accountability. But it has to be something like that, like I said, for healing. Like we said about the scene with Quentin and Janelle, I said the first step is the accountability. And if nobody's going to be accountable for certain things, there's just nothing we can do. It's better to stay out of each other's way.
Yeah, and you bring up an excellent point because in relationship to Jessica, I've agreed with and looked at. We've looked at how Jessica moves, how Jessica hasn't really, to JR's point, JR says that she hasn't offered a softer side, he feels like, throughout this whole season, right? And I agree, there's something seems to be missing, and I'm not sure if it's that she just doesn't like any of these guys as a mate, but she's decided that she wants to stay on the show for whatever reason. I'm not sure what that lure is, or maybe it's the competitive drive in each individual person that keeps people season after season fighting to be the last person standing on this show. As if
It's very competitive. It's very competitive. But here's the thing that people don't understand.
Yeah.
It's only because they dated. Jessica and Chris in real life probably could be great friends. Because I don't never think it was an attraction there in the first place. I think they could be good friends. Them power people, power black woman, power black men, when it's a straight friendship, those are some of the best friendships you ever seen. Because trust me, I know, because like I told you, my biggest friendships of women that's been on the show have been the strongest women on the show. And we get along so well. From a friend thing, no romantic situation, but as a friend, oh, those are my G's. Those are the ones I like the most. Now, if it became romantic, then it becomes different. When it, like I said, the only people I have a problem, the only people I see that's had a problem, male to female, on castmates, future, past, and present, are the ones that dated. The ones who never dated and get along fine. That's why them guys were like, we don't mind Janelle. We don't mind Jessica. They didn't date her. So they gonna be cool with her. They don't understand. They good. That's their G. You know what I mean?
That's exactly why they didn't have the same experience that Chris had with Jessica, because they never dated her. It was a completely different relationship. They had other connections, and they didn't gravitate towards her. How many dates have we actually seen Jessica go on one-on-one with any of the other guys? Not many.
It didn't. So they didn't have a connection there. It makes a difference. There's a big difference with how I feel about Benicia compared to how Joelle feels. You know what I mean? It's a huge difference in person.
Did you ever date Benicia in the beginning though?
No, because I literally she said she didn't want to have any kids. She made it clear. That was at the time. That was a deal breaker for her. Yeah.
Had her, 3 girls, 2 girls.
Yeah. So I said, okay, I was about my business. I wasn't wasting my time. I didn't care. I wanted to find my person. I stopped dating 5 months for the show. That was hard for me to do. So I was coming on a mission. So I was like, I cut 5 girls off day 2. Like, okay, she don't want to have kids. I already knew her. That ain't gonna be a connection. Liz is celibate. I'm not doing that. We're not, you know what I mean? Doesn't have anything against her. I can't do that. So I'm chopping those off. And then I'm going in with my connections. That was the way I wanted to do things. I wanted to be intentional. And so the 6 that I chopped off right away and stuff like that, we all friends, because the fact of the matter is, it was never no love connection. There's never no back and forth. It was never no pressure situation of them being a love interest of mine on the show, and then the interviews and everything that goes after that. It was never none of that. So it was never no problems. And then you able to be cool with a person, and it's just in a friend vibe, where it's never them thinking I'm hitting on them on the side, or they're thinking this and that. They know what it is. And I feel that if Chris and Jessica would have met in that scenario, they'd be cool as a fan, besties. Because, like I said, I've seen it when those 2 strong personalities get together. They actually work pretty well, as long as it's not in a romantic setting, or that woman does not have a crush on that guy and that guy don't have a crush on that woman, and they can just be cool.
Because there's no emotional investment. There's
no emotional investment.
Right.
Exactly.
That's what someone else is saying to what you're saying. Good point, JR. Good point, Ron. That's what Jay is saying. That's true, that power people can be good friends because they understand each other, but in relationship, maybe not so much.
Don't work.
No way.
Yeah.
Someone, especially because some people don't realize they have to switch from being in work mode to being in relationship mode. So it doesn't work.
Especially in that Chris. I think Chris was literally turned off by Jessica, where he had no romantic. Like that could have been. He should have just turned that into his bestie right away.
Right. That's a whole thing, because we hear Chris, and that's another thing. You just made me think of something. That's another thing I hear Chris saying a couple of times over, where he's saying, well, I hope because we've agreed to be friends that she won't be dissing me out there in the streets. And I'm paraphrasing. I'm putting my own words to it. Yeah. But I feel like can Chris really know if someone was dissing him in those streets, if it was Janelle or if it was Jessica? And because I'm thinking perhaps it was Janelle, and he's thinking it's Jessica, because that's another thing that's odd in that scene. Jessica says to him, "Do you really know? Do you really know?" And like I feel like there's some things that Janelle has been very open about after the show. Like she's all over Instagram. She's driving up, pulling up to people's homes. So clearly she got that, as Herbert would say, quote unquote, that thug mentality. So does he
He
really
knows.
know
He knows.
does he really know that things are coming from out of, how does he know though? If
He knows it's coming from both of them. He knows it's coming from both of them. That's why he knew that he needed 3
people together like that. Isn't that like a
But remember when he said it, his own words, he said I got 3 votes, I don't have 2. He knew right then he had Janelle's vote. You know what I mean? He knew that what was going on. He knew the play. He knew Janelle was gonna side with Jessica. They don't like him. It's 2, it's the mean girls, like he called them, versus he said put Janelle in the thing. You the mean girl. The mean girls versus my other girls. Is how he thought about it in his head. And he did not separate the 2. He's not separated the 2 the whole season. I don't believe. So that's just what it is. He knows that Janelle ain't doing them no favors.
and also, Janelle and Chris have never had a date. They've never done anything like that.
Never.
So therefore, there's no connection. We're like, 10 episodes in, and Janelle and Chris have not been on one single date. So it's clearly evident that they were not a match at all. And she also alluded to that when she said that in the elimination in the ladies' lounge, she said, look, like she's voting for Chris because not only the comment that he said, but the fact that there is no connection. There has never been a connection there.
And she probably was. Janelle was probably on Chris's side when Chris was with Jessica because she had to keep Jessica's votes alive to keep her homegirl on the show. But once they broke off, she's going to side with her girl. It just is what it is. I don't care if she thought Chris was a great guy. She's still going to side with him. Chris's problem was when he was talking about Jessica and every other girl, they so beautiful. They so beautiful. Chris, ain't not everybody beautiful. You're going to have to make some decisions on this show. And you didn't make
feel like he spent his time saying that women were beautiful, but also wouldn't you say that he didn't go deep enough with the other women that he was attracted to in the beginning?
Yeah, because here's the thing and this is what happens on the show, and they get you with this one. Okay. At first, the only way to survive is to get as many connections as you can.
Right.
So you selling yourself with 5 or 6 connections, like I did. And then you're like, oh, okay, well, I can't juggle all these connections, stuff like that. And then out of nowhere, they say, okay, break it down to 1. And you didn't spend enough time getting any depth with trying to balance 5 or 6 or whatever connections and stuff that you had and things of that nature, and everything's going there. And now you in a struggle to break it down that quickly on you. And it's because they caught you playing the game and playing it too hard or too much instead of just being genuine, being yourself and really looking for your connection. I mean, at least I can say with myself, I wasn't supposed to number them and they forced me to do so, but at least I did have a 1, 2, and 3. We don't know who Chris's number 1 was or 2 or 3. You know what I mean? This is the first time they took the number situation out of there because they was getting in a lot of trouble for it, I think. But yeah, so he didn't have it numbered down and stuff. And it was switching around. So when it came down to who's your number 1 connection or whatever like that, he was spread too thin. And that's why I do agree that it was his time to go, even though I would have loved to see him explore the Lee situation more. But the fact of the matter is, it was they got you. They ran that clock on you. It ran down on you. You did not. Everybody, Quentin had Janelle as a strong number 1. Phil had Aries. You didn't have one. And Jessica, your menace, threw you under the bus and then held on to Marie like nothing, like he been attracted, like he was Denzel Washington this whole time.
Right, she got to fix this in more place. Marie, by the way, is starting to look more and more attractive. Okay, let me just say that.
What?
Marie,
Oh,
I don't know what lotion you using on your skin.
I said with lotion.
He is looking better and better. See, that's what happens when you take all these options out. That's the problem with modern dating. Everybody is swiping right and swiping left, and then they look up their 40, 45, 50, never been married, no kids, and they trying to figure out.
Hey, I'll tell Jessica this. Hey, marry that man.
Marry Marie?
Yeah, Jessica. Yeah, because I don't know what else is out here.
Be a true power couple together because I just saw on his IG where he did a community drive for the kids back to school. They did health. They checked people's blood pressure. They gave the kids back to school backpacks and paper and pens and all. I think Marie is starting to grow on me.
If she
Okay?
can overlook, if she can overlook that might not be 100% her type going in. I've
Yeah,
been saying it for day one. I said Mario's the type of person that can handle her stuff. He dated a woman that was 10 years older than him. Their problem's gonna be the sexual stuff. But yeah, that's the only problem I had with them. I think he can handle her temperament fine because he's not gonna fall for. You know, what I mean, he's gonna take all that stuff. Everything she dished out, he gonna take. His problem was,
I,
I don't know if you're attracted to me enough to give me
Oh
the
yeah,
physical
that's
stuff. You have
right.
not
The
kissed me
physical
yet. You
stuff.
ain't grabbed on to me. You ain't done that. You ain't talked sexual to me or any of
Ooh,
that yet.
you need all of
And,
that, huh? Yeah.
and I need all that. He needs all that,
yeah,
and she hasn't done any of it. No kiss yet. You gotta be out of your mind.
no,
Yeah, there's
no.
not even been a peck. What do you see, JR? What do you see?
Listen, I'm just thinking maybe they sent the wrong lady home last week because if Jessica had gone
Mm.
home, then I don't
Oh, we
think
would
this
still
whole
have Sierra there, right?
yeah, exactly. You'd have Sierra over Jessica, and I don't think this whole thing would have happened. But um, look, I think Morier, like I said, there are things that I've pointed out already, tarot cards, the other stuff. But also, I know he's an entrepreneur, listed as an entrepreneur, but I'm not exactly sure what he does.
Yeah, we don't really know what he does for a living, do we?
Exactly. So with someone like Jessica, I think she does want someone who's established, and you know, Chris has that. He has a career which is quite established, and
She
we've
don't
just
want nobody that's established. She want to be the breadwinner.
right.
Oh,
And if she
I,
does want to be the breadwinner, that's cool. But look, at the end of the day, um, we're in a situation watching this, thinking, who is Jessica's real? Who is she gonna go home with right now? You know, like she's gotten rid of Chris. Okay, their time was up ages ago, but it's just
you don't see
Maury.
them. You don't see no way her and Murray could work.
No way. He's still got tarot cards. He's got amethyst crystals in his pocket. He's got, you know,
someone said he got the
If
crystal
she's a
with
grower, like Aubrey said she's a grower. Aubrey's a grower. If she's a grower, if she somehow gets sexually attracted to this guy,
yeah. No,
He's
it would
looking
have
that
better
happened
and
already.
better. I'm telling you, he's looking better and better. Some of these women better recognize your man ain't gonna always look like Denzel. Y'all better recognize.
Well, that's what they
I'm in
wanted you to
agreement. I'm in agreement with Aubrey on this. We are in fully agreement. I would love for I think it shouldn't even have to get to this point where it has to grow on you so hard and stuff. Make a decision.
Yeah, listen, the moment Poirier put the overalls on and the dungarees, he was getting roasted by everybody, right? So,
But
listen,
did
that's
nobody
probably
tell him to wear those too small overalls? Did nobody tell him that?
it. No, he chose it himself, right? And that may be something that he does. Like, that may be his typical dress sense when he's not on TV. Like, but listen, I just don't see a match for Morier. I don't see a match for Jessica. I just
I
don't
didn't see
see
it.
it.
I didn't like that scene. We go back to that scene. I didn't like that scene where he came in. He was submissive. He was apologetic, and the attitude that she gave with that was not
Exactly.
womanly. It was not. It was not endearing.
It was,
It was
I
not
don't trust you.
accepting. It was not like, oh, here's a man being at his vulnerableest position, and you
Yep.
act like that. There is no
Exactly.
way in the world I could date a woman like that. I would kill
Exactly.
myself first. Like, you know
Right.
what I mean? Like, I'm being
All
my
right, all
most.
right. Watch the language just for the YouTube.
But
I'm
that
sorry. I'm saying I'm in my most vulnerable moment. I'm
Yeah, yeah,
apologizing. I'm putting on the line. I'm sorry, baby. I'm this, and that. And I get that
yeah,
out of you.
listen,
yeah.
his
She should
eyes
have.
were
That's
red.
the moment when she should have took him in her arms and held him in a
Yeah,
warm
you know,
embrace.
that's what we
And
No,
laid
need
them
as
wait,
lips.
men.
but
Women
she's
take
not
notes.
Laid
warm.
That's what
lips
we
on her.
need. We
But
need
she's
that.
not warm. That would be alien for her to do. That would be completely strange for her to do. She didn't even attempt to reach out. That guy's eyes were so red, like he'd been bawling in the kitchen, racking his brains over what was said, right? Really eating him up. And he was vulnerable in that moment, but ultimately he is to blame for the whole thing. And she wasn't forgiving. She even though she did let him off the hook a little bit, she said, Morier only said what he said because of what Chris put out there. She thinks that he didn't mean it,
JR,
right?
JR, I gotta
But
get your opinion on this. Now, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
yeah, but I'm gonna say like Morier knew that there was also a possible. Well, I don't think he knew. I think he was trying to make sure that Chris and Jessica were no more, and that's the only reason I think he used Chris's particular comment as opposed to using any of the other guys' feedback from what they said, right? So he deliberately did that. He knew what he was doing. He's a grown man, and it bring him any closer to Jessica, which is ultimately what he wanted. Put his foot in it again.
Thank you for that. Do you agree? Because Sandra, she just brought up a good point. She says that Jessica, remember the soap scene? She says that Jessica runs over him, and Jessica would probably go tired of Maury. Do you agree with that? Because that soap scene was kind of off-putting for me.
I got a question for women. Does that happen? If like
that men buy you soap?
No, that you get like you're a power woman. You get with a guy that's a little more on the not submissive side. You know what I mean? A little more on the docile side and stuff like that. Do you get tired of that man because he's matching your energy?
Good question.
Well,
good question.
I think she was very dismissive when he came in to make conversation with her in the soap. She didn't even want to stop stretching or whatever she was doing. She's not feeling him. All right.
Yeah.
She basically said, "Okay, that's nice of you. I'm gonna keep stretching. See you in the morning. Goodbye."
Because for me, I would have gotten up and I would have, thanked him. I would at least get. I'm not saying I'm gonna put my lips on him if I'm not feeling him like that, because I wouldn't have. But I would have at least given him a warm embrace and thanked him, because at least for me, it showed as a woman that he is trying to listen. He's listening to what you're saying, because clearly, I'm assuming that it was a particular soap that she liked. Maybe high price, maybe not, maybe Dove. I don't know. But I would have gotten up and given him a hug. I would have stopped what I was doing. I did feel like, to your point, JR, I felt that was kind of dismissive of her to just still be doing her stretches. And he was basically asking her, was she going to be doing anything? Like maybe he wanted to invite her downstairs to sit in the den and have a drink or some coffee or whatever. And she was being very dismissive of him. So it gives kind of a vibe of, I'm using him.
Or even
he likes her, but like this is where I was telling women, you can't. I understand that as a man, I'm not gonna hit a home run with every girl right off the bat outside the park. I understand as men we have to raise interest in some situations, but you can't rake a man through the coals and then decide, okay, I'm gonna give him a chance now, or I like him now, he grew on me and stuff like that, and expect that dude to not think he just got raked through the clothes for all this time. You know what I mean? It has to be some kind. You have to show something, some progress, something. Like, you know what I mean? I hate when this happens. This guy is buck dancing, is trying his butt off to be there for Jessica and impress her. He's contemplating throwing men under the bus. He's being vulnerable. He's apologized 3 or 4 times. And she's giving this type of attitude. But what happens if she does like him? And now she's okay, I'm here now. And he goes, man, I'm tired now. I don't got the energy now to continue this relationship.
You're saying that he's tried so hard and she's been so cold toward him and so stoic that you're saying that at some point the man just says, well, never mind? Or we get it.
We have feelings too. So we get in a position where we get tired, man. Like, I don't want to deal with it. You know what I mean? And that'd be right about the time when she starts coming on to us.
Exactly.
Right. Well, some women are unemotionally, just like men are unavailable emotionally. And I think people that are unavailable emotionally, they like the people that once liked them and now they're moving on. Now they want to try and reinsert themselves into your life. That happens all the time. I see that.
I see it all the time. And you know what really happens? It happens right at the time, usually, where the woman gives that man a little sex. And then it didn't solve the problem. So therefore he's still tired. He leaves. And now this guy is the biggest narcissistic a-hole in the world all of a sudden. But you never go back to the point that you raked this dude through the coals at the beginning of the first 4 or 5 months of the situation. No accountability for that.
No accountability.
Well, I think there's also the fact that a lot of the time we hear women saying they want consistency, right? They want the guy to show interest consistently, and Maury has done that with Jessica to a degree, and she raised several things that she has a problem with, that she she couldn't take it any further with him. She really said that she couldn't deal with certain things that he brings, i.e. his spirituality and things like that. And then so automatically him trying to regain favor is the position, is the, you know, he's there all the time trying to get back into her good books, and she isn't having it. And even when she does give him a little opening, it's not enough for me to think that there's any type of genuine connection. Because like I said, he can come into the room and try to make conversation. Let me sit down with you. Let me have a chat with you, you know, in the evening here. No, she pretty much shut that down. She pretty much said, look, I'm going to keep stretching and then I'll speak to you tomorrow. Right?
Maria is following Jessica's program and ain't the other way around. And Chris had his own program. Chris said, no, I want a girl to be Darcy. She weren't following Chris's program. If you want to get with Jessica, you got to follow her program. And Maria is following it to a T. Jessica, how you doing? What you need? What's going on? Like it ain't his program. Maria's program is let's have some freaky sex and do this. And she's not going with, and let's go look at the stars and some amethyst, you know, all that stuff. She's not doing none of that stuff. She said, I dismiss everything you care about. If you want to make it to the end with me, you will follow my program. Period. Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. Listen, none of what Maurier is doing is going to lead to where he thinks it's going to go. All right. There's not going to be a connection with Jessica because she's not interested in him like that. Like I said, you can tell when someone likes you. The energy is different, right? It sure is. Absolutely. Right. She doesn't come across, from what we've seen over 10 episodes, as her, you know, being particularly attracted to him in the conventional sense. Yeah. And it's not even hypergamy where, okay, well, he's not attractive, he wears overalls, but he makes a lot of money. Like, there's not even that there. So I don't think there's any. I don't see that. What I would say though, Maurier, do your thing, brother. Make it to the end. Go ahead. You're already at this point. Fake it till you make it. Represent for the big boys out there, for the big boy club. Be the first big boy, but the first big boy to make it to the end. Use Jessica, play that game, roll that boat, and get there. Get them last couple of checks. Just get to the end at this point. It is what it is after that. But just get you there. You're almost there. Just go ahead and do it. Might as well. I'm with it now. I'm with you. Is that I'm at this point. Might as well be real with this stuff. She's playing the game. Why can't he go to the end and represent for the big boys and say he made it to the end and have that accomplishment and get a couple extra checks and stuff too? He played the game very well and he deserves that, I believe.
Hey, what are your final thoughts on it, JR, before we wrap this out and shimmy and shake on out of here? What are your final thoughts, JR?
The final thoughts are, listen, for some reason, Maurier's avoided elimination so far, and I do think you know, him and Jessica are basically just staying on the show for, you know, just to be on the credits, I guess, at the end, because there's definitely not a connection that's going to lead to a relationship that's going to last. Even if it's a fleeting one, just for the cameras, just to say, oh, we made it. We're just going to, you know, choose each other on the bridge. Nah, it's going to be short-lived because there's no warmth. There's no love. I don't get that genuine side of the equation from both of them together. And Maureen needs to be careful because he's setting a dangerous precedent. Why? Because the way that he is trying to acquiesce to Jessica, like, it does play into the fact that she's not attracted to him, but he's still keeping on trying. And that's the worst place to be in, because the
best place to be bad place to be as a man, but hypergamy is what it is. The show has been full of it. The best looking guys have always made it to the end. Why can't Maurier play the game and make it there? You know what I mean? Like, let's just call the scale a scale. Like, guys are getting pushed to the end just because they're 6'5" and good looking. They ain't said one meaningful word or been the most ones ready to love and stuff like that. They've been the eye candy and they make it doing nothing. Yeah. Let this man work his way to the end.
Yeah, Maurier and Kat, you know, have more in common than Maurier and Jessica. So I'd say Maurier.
Maurier don't got a love connection, but let the big boys make it to the end. Shoot, like, you let all the other dudes make off their looks. Let them make it to the end. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, he did.
At the bridge, they're saying in the chat that if Maurier and Jessica make it to the bridge, she's gonna give him a handshake instead of a lip lock.
Oh my God, I'd jump off that bridge if I was Mario. You ain't gonna embarrass me in front of my mama.
Now, listen, Jessica will probably give him back the soap that he gave her in the bedroom. That's what she'll do on the bridge.
Jessica, if you go to the end, you better make that kiss. You got to get a kiss.
You wrong for that. You wrong for that.
Even if it's a peck, if she do a cheek kiss, I'd rather no kiss than a kiss on the cheek. She do that stuff. I'm turning to Chris.
Yay.
You kiss me on the cheek on the bridge, I'm turning into Chris. I'm cussing you.
Ooh, y'all are a tough crowd. That's all I can say. What you got to say, JR?
Jessica will probably do a Habibi and kiss her hand instead of kissing him, you know.
Oh, right.
Like I think personally the connections now look extremely thin. Like I said, I am rooting for Phil and Aries. Like I think that connection could possibly work. I'm not just saying that because he rubs her feet constantly. I really think that from their interaction, they've been speaking a lot, they've been hanging around a lot, and the energy that they give off is that they're very interested in each other. Quentin and Janelle's energy is different. I think eventually Janelle will turn her fire onto Quentin, and how he handles it is he's probably going to want to get out of that relationship the moment she starts to do that. And it's going to be tough because I think that could be a very up and down, toxic, problematic relationship full of arguments and accusations and back and forths. So and also the fact that Janelle may son him due to the age difference quite a bit. So I think that relationship is going to be problematic. And then, like I said,
it's less connections. It's not a lot of connections this season. It wasn't a lot of connections next season. Does that? I asked Aubrey this. Does that make it for a worse season of Ready to Love? Because you can't predict the connections. It's 10 on 10. You don't know. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard to do. Like, do we always as a show, as a cast, do we always got to knock it out the park 3 for 3 of genuine romantic connections in order to make a good season?
No, it's not for me as a viewer and as a podcaster. It's not what makes it a good season. It's actually being able to have these kind of conversations and everybody kind of understand and maybe do some introspection of their own selves, even though like we're not on camera with you guys, we're not getting all this public scrutiny, we don't have people coming over to our Instagram or our Facebook or whatever. But for us, all those of us that are still in the dating pool, that are dating, for us to look at ourselves, and sometimes you see yourself reflected through another person, like somebody cool, somebody calls her an ice queen here. Mona says Jessica's an ice queen. But I see her stoicness, and I've actually had men in the past, you know, this is years ago, but I've had a man to question me and talk to me about what I didn't realize at the time, that I was emotionally unavailable, right? So he could see it, he could feel it, and he had to sit me down and have a talk. But no, it makes it it doesn't make it a bad season if they're not all these connections. No. But
here's the reality of the situation that nobody wants to talk about.
Right.
Some women, and let's call a spade a spade. Some women who working or maybe have kids, don't get out that much, not out and about, in the house and stuff like that, might see 10 connections a year, right? Or 10 options a year, or whatever like that. So they look at this show and say, God, you guys got 10 right there? I would find me my husband and this and that. But some people, like, I'll put myself there, and a lot of other people in the cast might see 10 connections a week.
Right.
10 options a week. We live a different lifestyle. So to us, seeing 10 people on the show is like, oh, what am I supposed to do with this? And we try our hardest to navigate through that. To some people in the audience watching, they're like, man, you got 10 there? 10 good-looking black men? I've not seen 10 good-looking black men in a setting, in one setting in years and stuff like that. And then to those people, I say, y'all got to get out here more. Or do something and get online dating and stuff like that, because I can see 10 options in a day of women. So I don't look at it as the same way as some people. It makes you pickier and all that type of stuff. I understand you're saying the less options, the better. I'm a firm believer in that, if you're looking for marriage and love. But that is how it is. I live in Houston, Texas, the Mecca right now. There's options all over the place. There's too many. I can't do anything about it. I'm not gonna move to Nebraska just to lower my options.
Listen, Ron, this is your auntie talking to you. You got to decide what it is you're looking for. You can't, and you got to recognize you're not going to have 100% of your checklist in one person because they're not going to get 100% of their checklist in you. And then you've got to go forward from there. You really do at this point. Like if you say you really want what you want, like, you got to really do that. But if you're not ready, then that's fine too. But be honest.
I'm just saying it ain't about being ready or not. Let's go past that aspect. But I'm saying I can't do nothing about the options of having less or more because the fact of the matter is I'm in the city in a big time. I don't live in Nebraska. I'm not moving there.
But look at this. So say you did find this woman that you're looking for, that you want, right? You marry her. Those options aren't going away. I mean, there are going to be women, yes, that will not date a married man, but there are also going to be women that don't give a darn. That they're going to date, they're going to be willing to.
When you're married, most of 95% of married men I know, and most of my guys out of Detroit, everything like that, are married. And the first thing they did when they got married is what? They changed their lifestyle 100%. They moved out to the suburbs. No one could find you. Better school district, stuff like that. They got away from everything. They changed their friends. They changed every single thing to now react like a married person. There's no married couple I know that's living in a high rise in the inner city next to two clubs with women thrown around, and they don't do that.
Your IG partying every other weekend in Vegas, Rob. But you're missing my point. My point is you can do all of that, but my point is there's still going to be temptation. That was my point. So unless, like what you just said, and you sound like you understand how everything works and moves differently when you become married, you change your lifestyle. But if a man has it in his heart to cheat, and that's who he is, and that's what he wants to do, what I'm saying is that the options are going to still be available.
And when I mean options, I don't mean actually cheating options. Women have options out here too. So absolutely. I'm talking about narrowing it down to a relationship where you're not, nothing else is entertaining and things of that nature, where these women are quick to tell a Marie I'm not interested in because they got 30 Maries in Dallas around the corner that's in their inbox. And you know what I mean? It is what it is. So women do the same thing. It's just the culture that we're in right now. When you're in big city dating is different. Popping cities, Houston, Dallas, cities that this show goes to are the most popping black cities in the country, the Meccas. And they recruit not from the super suburbs area. They recruit straight from the heart of the city. Everybody I've met have lived in very nice city areas with a lot of singles around and things of that nature. And we get on these people's cases saying, oh my God, you just won't commit and do this, this, and that. And you don't see all the options and stuff that's around for the males and the females. And we want them to somehow forget that it's happening like that. And I understand that's how it works because when I lived in St. Louis, in that rural area and stuff like that, I'd have been happy to have any woman. We would have been married right now. You know what I mean? That was black and halfway. These, you know what I mean? But your palate changes.
So somebody could have got you back then in your St. Louis days, huh? Somebody could have got you.
Man, it was women. Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. It would have been over. I'd have been so happy to have somebody else. But your palate changes the more you're around, you know what I mean? The more you experience. And that's why it's harder when you get older because you experience more, you've been around this, you want this more, you have these different options and things. The women have different options. And I just think sometimes it's unfair to act like that's not what's going on in the scenery and stuff like that. And then when you throw on a show like this, you throw 10 strangers out of nowhere, you go, oh my God, you didn't marry one of them? What the heck? I can't marry the 100 that I see every day around here. Like I don't know what I'm trying to navigate this like you guys are. I'm human, you know what I mean? I'm looking for love in a human situation, and I don't want to be the guy who's a serial date. I hate that it's expensive, it's stressful. I don't want to be that guy. But you have to play the game that's given to you. Because I'm not moving. I'm not, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not going, you know what I mean? You got to do what the women are doing. The women set the tone for a lot of things. And I understand that some women that.
Let the women set the tone for things, Ron. It sounds like to me, if that's what you're saying as an alpha male, then you could be single forever based on.
Well, no. I don't let the women set the tone for the relationship. I said women set the dating trends for all men. They always have. If women think pink shirts are the most attractive thing and you'll get Bunch of women, if you wear pink shirts, every freaking man, I don't care if it's the hardest gangster you ever seen, will have a pink shirt on. That's how it always worked.
Okay.
Women set the dating trends. It is what it is. It's
Okay.
always been that way. I don't care how alpha you are. What women want is what men are going to adjust to. You guys have the power in that.
Okay.
120%. That has not changed with the women prize thing. That's always been exactly the same. So that's what I mean by that. Women are going to set the dating trends. Now,
Okay.
like women are now dating multiple men at the same time. Every woman is for that. Oh, whoa, why you putting one of your eggs in one basket? No, men are dating multiple women. Women date 4 or 5 men at the same time. Go ahead. It makes
JR,
it.
go ahead.
Yeah, JR, have you seen that? I don't know. I think you might be married, but
Yeah. I don't know. JR, he's not divulged all of his personal information to us. JR, so I don't know if
I
he's there or
I
not
am
there.
not I am not married. No.
He says he's not married, ladies, because everybody's asking me about the baritone voice on the show. So hey now, hey. Follow JR. JR is over on Instagram, so I'm not telling you ladies to get into his DMs, but I can't stop you. I can't stop you. And Ron apparently is still available too. We had some people asking some questions about you too, Ron. So
Yeah, I mean, I thought I was in a relationship, and like you said, I was going through some mental stuff with that person, and I ended up, man, I said I took 2 steps forward and 3 steps back. How did that happen? I thought I was done. I thought this one was over.
we're gonna talk about that offline, Ron. We're gonna talk about what I hear. But I love Ron. People ask me like, you used to drive people nuts on this show for the longest time when you would come on these Sunday panels, and now people are finally starting to see the Ron that I've seen for a very long time. They're starting to see your heart. So you may not agree with everything a person says. You may not agree with every choice they make. But when you see someone's heart is genuine and real, and Ron really has a heart for people, right?
Yeah.
That's what I see anyway.
No, I'm a people person. I
You're a
love
people person.
people. I'm gonna be me regardless. So you will get used to it. But I'm literally gonna be there looking out for people and everything. And that's why my castmates, they love me to death. You know what I mean? Because they know, like, you know what I mean. I'm a lookout. I like people. I'm look out for everybody. I'm gonna try to tell you the truth. And some people don't like every version of everybody's truth. I understand that, but
Exactly.
I'm gonna tell the truth about myself though too, good or bad. I'm gonna tell you, yo, I messed up here. This is that. I made mistakes here. I do this wrong in dating. I do this right. You know what I mean? So I don't mind. And Aubrey, you've never gave me any constructive criticism on dating that I did not receive from you.
No,
You know, so
no,
because I could take it. Whatever I dish, I could take 100%. I listen
right.
to
And
all advice given.
right, and let's be clear. I don't really offer you much dating advice, but I have given you some observations that I've noticed about you, and we talk about that, and we're both good because Ron is a real person, and like you said, you are open to constructive, criticism or observations or feedback. And I think that's the thing where it gets us viewers off is when we hear these people on Ready to Love saying, well, oh no, I ain't changing nothing. I'm gonna keep dating the same way. And we're like, okay, yeah, we're gonna look up 15 years and we're gonna find you still over on IG, still single, because we already see it. We already see what the problems are. But you know, it's been an interesting season. It's an interesting season, and I think we still have maybe 2 more episodes. We're gonna meet the parents, the men's parents, this upcoming episode. Then we're gonna finally get to the bridge scene, so we'll find out who's left standing, right? And what I can't wait for, like a lot of people are saying, is the reunion. The reunion has got to be fire.
Oh dear.
What do you think, Ron? I mean, what do you think, JR? I'm sorry.
I think the reunion's going to be the Janelle show part 2. She's going to be at the center of so many different exchanges with people. Yeah, I'm not sure if we're going to see any connections that were made after the show aired, but I know we're definitely going to see some fireworks involving Janelle and some of the other ladies, and then there's a couple of guys that she probably has an issue with as well. So
Yeah. Well, hopefully those guys can bring their truth out, of what they experienced, and the women too, what they experienced. Because, guys, remember when we had the season, what was it, the Brown Girls? the
Yeah,
brown girls
Brown
and
Girl Squad. Brown
yeah,
Girl
Brown Girl
Squad.
Squad, right. So, I mean, you did get finally some people that cracked on the stage of the reunion to talk about what that felt like for them to be in that season where there were two separate cliques of women. Because I think what I'm seeing basically with this season is there's definitely two cliques of women. You know, whatever you want to call Janelle and Jessica, and used to be Sierra with an S. There's them, and then there's Aries and who is it? Katarina
Lee and Kat.
and Lee, yeah, yep. Those women right there. They're they're bound together by whatever they're bound together by. But I still have to say, I don't think it's right to judge Jessica by what Janelle says and does. I just don't think you can do that. That's not fair.
I
Nobody.
think
Go ahead.
I sorry to cut you. I think if she actually tries to sit down with Janelle and challenge some of that behavior, or say, look, Janelle, you're moving a bit too hostile, and I don't think, we don't see her checking her at all. So she co-signs what Janelle's doing.
That's true.
Um,
Now
a
I will
true
agree with
friend,
that.
a true friend will hold you accountable. Even if they're your friend and they really
Yeah.
ride with you, they're gonna say, look, listen, you need to stop or slow down a little bit, because you're diverting everybody's attention from what we're really here for. You're disrupting the process. She's not saying anything like that. They co-sign each other, so they're very much complicit in each other's behavior and how they're showing up.
Yeah. But I did, yeah. Okay, I'm gonna just leave it at yeah because I don't want to be the person that defers. You're right. You're absolutely right. She is complicit in her behavior. I see we lost Ryan. We already lost Calvin. I think that's our cue, and it's over 3.5 hours. I don't think I've ever in my life done a podcast this long. I want to thank you for being here, Jr. I want to
Thank you.
thank. Go. I'm sorry.
I was going to say thank you for the opportunity, of course.
Oh, thank you. I also want to thank Ron, who just dropped off and probably had to see about, home and everything else that's going on. I want to thank Calvin for being here as long as he could. I definitely want to thank all of you guys as chatters that are in the. Could you please check before you leave out, guys, and make sure that you've given us this video a like? It really helps us in the algorithm. It helps me week to week to decide, am I able to really do this podcast? Does anybody really care besides me and JR and Ron and Ellen? Let us know that you're there by giving us a like. It is this week on special. It's free 99. Also, go over and check out JR. Check out his YouTube. Like and subscribe to it. Check him out over on IG. Check out Ron. Check out Calvin. The same thing, guys. I hate to sound rushed, but we're gonna. Hey, Aries. Hey. I love you all. You guys have been wonderful here tonight. It's been a lot to me to have you guys here like this with us throughout this whole 3 hours. And those of you that missed the first part, go back and check out the replay. Leave a comment in the comment section. Leave some purple hearts for me, guys. You know what to do, right? They know what to do, don't they, JR?
Oh, yes, they do. Hit that button, hit that like button, subscribe, do what it do. It really
Yeah, let
helps. It really helps to show, that there's people who are interested in the opinions that we share. And if you want to see more, that's one way you can let us know.
Oh, hey, I couldn't ask for anybody to do it any better. Yeah, so with that, on that note, we're gonna shimmy and shake on out of here, right, JR? Let's go ahead and do our best shimmy and shake on out of here, okay?
Okay, I'm shimmying.
All right, bye guys.